Blog Talk Radio.
Well, hello there. Welcome. Welcome to the Mortuary of Shadows, which is brought to you by A Poetic Slice of Life, a group located on allpoetry.com. Check out that site if you get the chance. If you think you get some rights in you and you haven't been there, check it out. www.allpoetry.com. And we want to thank Kevin and his crew for keeping that site up and running, giving us some place to hang out and have some fun. And I must say that A Poetic Slice of Life is a group on that site owned by my lovely wife, Kay, who is sitting next to me.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
And I am her Wesley, Stevens 76.
Yeah.
The music that you just heard, do we have an artist on that music?
I thought you said it was Kevin MacLeod.
Kevin MacLeod. One of these days I'll remember that.
One of these days, yeah.
And that is on a public domain music. Found him on YouTube. He writes some interesting stuff that you can use on your projects. He just asks that you give him credit where credit is due. So, yes, Kevin MacLeod, thank you for that awesome intro music for our Mortuary of Shadows.
Yeah.
Yes. I will also say, before we look into the phone lines, that any poem that is read tonight that is not read by the original author, we do have express written permission to read that poem.
We do.
So,
without further ado,
ado,
right now it's just you and me.
Just you and me. That's the way I like it. Although I do see out on the board, I see Joseph and Jessica Ann. How are you guys?
Yeah. Okay. So right now I will grab. Do you want me to do the first sound cloud?
Sure, why not?
Yeah, because this one I know is not going to be calling in. So let me grab the link, and then I'll run to the studio and play SoundCloud. Joseph says he's here, Huckleberry. Hello, Joseph.
Hello.
Okay, and this is the first one, and I do have a SoundCloud. So let me get that one played.
Yes, this is from Flor. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing her last name correctly. Holguin. Flor Holguin. It's called Cryptic King.
And here we go.
She was an HM winner, right? Or no?
Extra HM.
Extra HM winner.
Are you ready?
I am ready. Go for it.
Okay.
Cryptic King. Deep is he, profound allurement, black in spirit, dark his beauty, fear it, bright and knowing, father of lies, hell's convincing guise, dispersing light and prompting malice, free to roam from palaces and to homes rejected he shines. Evil, murder from the onset, killing with wit, rising dawn, addict to those frail, cryptic king of pitch crimes. He, aurora, shines into an ear, and you believe him. Falling star undimmed and stark, his powers cutting all ties. Homeless souls believe his hands are yours, whose will speaks, Satan's tongue yours, seeking words disguised as truths, yes, vile hides. Arc fiend's crown divides, and we, his tools, too dense to know more, faith all sieved and cored, presume this true, he comes for his deeds. His permitted souls are granted with a spare wind. All beware therein, the blinded, Satan's ailments confines, commander of fiends, secreting bile and feeding on spleens, veiled ambitions keen and sweet, he's artful, lord of the flies. He among us has befriended us, for hate sheens, for in us he hides, for neat and weak souls he pries.
End poem.
There you go.
Yes, indeed. I thought that this was awesome.
Yeah.
The dark imagery throughout was very intense. I mean, where's it at? Commander of fiends, secreting bile and feeding on spleens. Veiled ambitions keen and sweet. He's artful, Lord of the Flies. I like that she said that, Lord of the Flies, one of my favorite books.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this makes me think of temptation. Actually, that's what it's making me think, is being tempted by the devil and falling for it in the end. This is pretty cool. What'd you think, hon?
That's actually what I saw too, because there definitely was a lot of darkness in there. But what I said in my comment to her is the darkness that she speaks of is the evil that can exist in the heart of man.
Mm-hmm.
Because the thing is, everybody has their weaknesses, but they also have strengths. And usually the devil, he preys on the weaknesses. And it's up to man to decide if they are strong enough to fight the temptation when it comes creeping in to attack the weakness that resides within one.
Yeah.
So I definitely thought this was a cool write about man and society and preying on weakness and temptation. It was a beautiful read as well. A lot of intensity through her reading.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful all around.
Yep, that's why we prefer the author to read if possible, because they had their own flair to it.
They do.
They know how they want it to be read.
That's why I prefer SoundCloud, if possible, because it does bring the words to life more better sometimes than how we can do it, because they have their own intention of how they want to bring it forth. So, yeah, SoundClouds are always nice. So, okay. Do you want me to go to the next SoundCloud?
Who's the next one?
Bella would be.
We could do Bella's, I suppose, yeah.
Yeah, because she's not calling in. Okay, and she was
The silver winner.
Yeah, from our contest. I'm going to grab that. Drop that in the room. Okay, and now I will run to the studio and get that going. Last SoundCloud tonight. Here we go. Did you want to say?
This is from me, Bella, called I Am the Sinner, the Fallen Angel.
And here we go.
I am the sinner, the fallen angel. I am not ashamed to admit my wrongs. My flaws are never yours. They are mine and mine alone, which I dearly present like an open book. I am. So will you take me by the hand or leave me at the door? Allow me to present me, then decide for yourself. I am the Lucifer, the angel carrying sable wings, adorned with a deformed ring, the bearer of light but never the glow. Pride encapsulated my heart, once hurt by the one I love, rebellion will arise. I am the Mammon. Greed embraces my every inch, where the love bestowed is mine and only for me, wrapped around my bones, and there it will root your heart and soul and all, and I desire more. I am the Asmodeus, where I see lost as a part of love, where desiring is not just a game, but the completion of two entity, body, mind, soul. I am the Leviathan, with a chaotic mind and core that drowns in the face of time and resurfaces for a while, envious to those who know love and to the love they can give. I am the Beelzebub, the unholy desire that fed in love with greed, the dark jealousy when in need, the one that faces with war when taken less and bothers the heart of those who refuse to give. I am the Satan, the wrath that you created, you who broke my rib and snatched my heart and ate my soul. I am your creation. I am the Belphegor, where the pain you gave became my only shield, designed with indifference. Seeing you darkness was the fruit that I will eat, and I will belly every inch of your hate. I am the once upon a dream, the earth angel with a broken halo and tattered wings. You created me.
And poem. Or wait,
Yeah.
gotta say it like Bella. And poem.
There you go.
Okay. So this was definitely very cool. Definitely it was hard to decide a winner in this contest. I will say that. Everybody wrote very well to these prompts. I was really surprised at how fast this contest filled up actually. With all the quotes that we found from it, I guess it makes sense. But yeah, what Bella wrote here, I wrote a comment to her. I said sometimes we do allow people to change us. Some changes to the better, and some changes to the worse. Then all of a sudden, when they don't accept who we are, things get messy. And it is like she said at the end. You created me. You created this. You created what I am now. And now you're telling me get the hell out. That's kind of what I'm seeing here. So it's it's definitely a what's the word I'm looking for?
Contradiction?
Yeah, slippery slope.
Slippery slope, yeah.
What do you think, hon?
Well, I had the beauty of hearing her read this last night in a team of voices.
Yeah, I was there too.
Yeah, and after I heard her read it, and I knew this was for tonight as well, it definitely spoke greatly to me because, your comment is very true. Because the thing is, and this is something I say to you, a lot of people, they like to wear the air of righteousness. And when I say that, they forget that we all are human, we all are flawed, and we all have sinned. Nobody is sinless in life. Nobody's blameless. But yet, some people carry that air like, how dare you? When they don't even stop to look at themselves. It spoke to me in that way, because, if a person can look deep within and realize that they too are flawed, and sometimes how they are with other people, then maybe they would stop and look within and realize that maybe they too have stuff to work on. Instead of laying blame on that one person and say, well, I don't like what I'm seeing, so, oh, well. And, this one really did speak to me because it does touch on facets that I've experienced in life where all of a sudden people are like, ugh, well, all right. I no longer have any reason to want to deal with you. And see, the thing is, this is what I said in the comment too. Rebellion of all accords are a part of life. Everybody's rebellious. Some people don't want to admit that. And that's the sad thing when people want to sit and act like they have not done anything wrong, because everybody has. Rebellion, it is definitely a part of life. I thought this was beautifully versed. And the thing is, I also saw judgment. It's very easy in this world for people to lay judgment at people's feet without really stopping and looking and just addressing what's in front of them, addressing the situation, and try to look deeper within and try to understand better instead of just laying judgment and blame and being so apt to walk away. Because that's the thing, too. A lot of us, we learned hard in our heart because of how people are with us. And then it makes us something that some people will not like or embrace, but they don't realize that for a lot of the things that we become, man has helped to make us that way. So it's kind of heartless to be one way and then just lay the blame on those person's feet, like, they're to blame for everything and they're in the wrong.
Yeah.
So I definitely thought this was great because the one thing I said to her as well is that I feel truth is overrated because I have also found that in my life, a lot of the times that I've been truthful, it always backlashed. It's like you get
punished for telling the truth.
Yeah, because then they use that and they hold it over you, or they use it to look down on you or talk bad about you. So that's the thing too. What the hell good is truth if it only gets you punished?
Yeah, I know.
So, this right definitely speaks to me greatly because it's like you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. Which way is the right way to go?
Right. The right way to go is to run to the gas station and get a pack of cigarettes. Hello, hello, Slowly Drowning is out on the board. Just wanted to say hi to them. They're out there listening. And Sky will be here in a burr.
In a burr. You know what you mean.
I know. I'm just
She'll be here in a bed. She will be. And Joseph said something very true on the board as well. Sometimes we also judge ourselves too harshly as well. And, that's true. But sometimes when we become our own judge upon ourselves, it's because other people have made us that way, where then we start to question everything we say and do.
Yeah.
So it always all goes back to man.
Mm-hmm. It does.
It does. I know. Hell of a right.
Yes, Bella's very astute. Is that the word?
Yes.
Yes.
That is true. Let me just put this on the board, and then I'm going to drop you in.
Uh-oh. She asked her, and she's going to drop you. Might want to pad your rear end so it doesn't hurt when you fall.
I won't drop too hard.
Joseph just said something, too, that definitely makes sense. We need only be truthful to the people we love and who love us. No one else matters. That is true. Because when it comes to me and you and I are both extremely honest with each other.
That's true.
And so, yeah, that definitely, and we don't punish each other for telling the truth.
No, and I will just say one last thing here. This is something I said to you the other night. How good is it that we can talk without arguing?
Yes.
Because the other night we had a very heavy conversation, and it could have ended with yawns. Instead, we just were talking the entire time,
yep.
And it took forever to get the conversation done. But we spoke instead of yelling, which meant we were listening.
Yes.
So, yeah,
yep.
It's very true what Joseph said.
Yes, and then we finished off by eating dinner at Red Lobster.
Yeah.
And the conversation was still carried through that dinner, too.
That was our day off on Sunday.
Well, I was in deep fried heaven.
You were. But yeah, it's a great right, Bella, because it definitely, when I heard her read it last night, it made me think, and it definitely speaks to everybody. Because the problem is, a lot of times people, they can just be downright awful, and they can't understand. They just can't understand. And that's what makes it harder to exist sometimes. Okay. This one I will read. Let me open up my tab. This was one of the 8 gems from our conference?
I believe so.
Okay. And this is by Jaskaran, and it's called There's Sunshine and Darkness Behold. There lived a girl, was ostracized from the society until the stones had tried to come closer, was hurled abuses and blamed for every omen, was given the name Monster. She had not taken baths for years, had devilish looks, rotten smell oozing out of her body. She was waiting for a miracle to happen to stop her withering fur. Dreaded was her life. She made hustling sounds to mourn someone's death, lonely walks to take, longing to be heard, and human bodies to feed on and a soup stir. But I saw a spark in her eyes, enough to charm and behold in one's heart in the first meeting. No one saw how she would heal the wounds of hurt animals, forging a beautiful soul. I fell in love with her kindness, and God played the Cupid in her love story, the beauty and the beast, but in a reversal role. I stopped her by the lake, held by her hand, looked into her eyes and gifted her a rose. She trembled, was numb for a moment, then smiled and placed it in her heart with a hold. We have intertwined and no one fears her now. Someone has truly said, you become one's reflection if nothing can break you apart, and you always hold her in your heart. If you have a golden heart, God will descend heaven on earth for you. Keep loving and bringing happiness in everyone's life with your endeavor. End poem. And the quote that Jasper wrote to is, that girl's a monster. I love her, but still.
Yeah. Yes, this was very cool. I'm looking for there it is. I thought it was an awesome and original take on the quote. This has a very never judge a book by its cover message.
Yeah.
Which really most people like to judge by the cover. Hell, even I'm guilty of doing that. So it's hard not to sometimes. But once you got to get to know the person inside before you really formulate an opinion. And this is that's what I see here. That girl's a monster, but still I love her. That could be said the other way around too. The man's a monster, but still I love him. You could go either way. So, I mean, there's a lot of people that think that your father is very rash and standoffish, but you know him better and you love him. I know him better and I love him. So, you can go that direction too.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is very, very, very cool, right, Jask? Thank you very much for entering the contest and congrats on the HM. What did you think, hon?
Well, yeah, I can agree with that because I'll just say my father, he's a very harsh man, but you got to get to know him first because he actually has a lot of kind aspects to him. But this actually goes back to what I was saying, Stella. Sometimes man makes you a certain way where you have the guards up and you kind of are cold and hard towards certain people, and you just can't help it because people have helped to make you that way. Mm-hmm. With the rite itself, I think Jaskran, I remember we were talking about this earlier in the week too, on the board, it's being discussed that it's seen as Beauty and the Beast. And I mentioned in my comment too that I like how I played on the Beauty and the Beast aspect because the thing is, as I said in the comment, and I said to him as well, that most men, they will say they are the beast, and they will call the woman they are with the beauty. It's a common thing. Yeah, I know. You say you're beastly, and I'm the beauty. You say that. I think it definitely speaks wonderfully because it also speaks, like you said, about don't judge a book by its cover, because sometimes what you see is not actually what exists within. If a person looks a certain way, they may look beastly. They might actually be the most beautiful person on the inside. Mm-hmm. But you just got to take the time to get to understand and know that. So, yeah, this was definitely a great rite. Because with my comment, too, I did say that it is hard for everyone to see things one way. Some may be closed off and not see beyond what is there for many reasons. Sometimes fear and lack of knowledge, when seeing things, they do stop one from understanding. And that is the biggest truth right there. If it's not fear, it's lack of knowledge, to want to try to understand. I know for me, sometimes fear stops me a lot of the time. And I think for a lot of people, that's also the case. So I definitely think that if one can take some time to reflect, then the understanding will come. That's how I see it. This is a great rite. Definitely speaks of the Beauty and the Beast aspect. And I like, as I said, the golden heart is a lovely thing to possess and to give unto others, because it means it's a heart that's full of love and has a lot to offer.
Yeah.
Wonderful. End comment.
End comment.
End comment, sorry.
The beastly beard and Kay, the kitten. Nothing but her at Red Lobster.
Something like that.
Oh.
You sound like Madman Mars.
I know, that's where I was going for that. I was going for Madman Mars.
Mm-hmm. You kind of, if anybody remembers that movie, go look it up. You kind of look like Madman Mars on your worst day.
When I get up in the morning and my hair is all disheveled, yes.
Yeah. When you're grunting and groaning and your hair is all disheveled, because your hair is about the same length as Madman Mars, but his was kind of long too.
Yeah.
And he had that very gnarly beard going on there.
Is my beard gnarly?
Well, when I say gnarly, not like cool. I mean, like, you know what I mean, like disheveled, kind of all over the place.
So you're saying my beard is disheveled?
When you first wake up, yeah, because your beard is kind of long where you get to that point now you got to comb it and stuff to make sure that doesn't get crazy.
I style it with mousse.
No, you don't.
No, I don't.
Okay. So, it's up to you to read that.
I am going to take place of the absent Raz and read for Mr. Gilman, as he would say.
Mr. Gilman.
Excuse me. This is from JEG 325. It is called Daughter of the Fallen Star. Let's see, he was an HM winner in our contest, and it goes like this. I found you on a highway in the middle of the night. Your eyes were full of tears, yet you were a lovely sight. You became part of my life. Soon I let you take control. I didn't know you would be a devil without a soul. Now you taunt me regularly, saying I will never break free. And once I gave you my heart, I am yours for eternity. You promised to destroy those unknowing of who you are, and suck up their life force, daughter of the fallen star. And I can only watch as you kill them one by one, for I am at fault as if I shot them with a gun. When I tried to kill myself, you turned my hand at you. I stabbed you in the heart, and you let the knife go through. Not a drop of blood came out, as you called me a disgrace. Your last trace of humanity now showed a different face. End poem. I thought this was cool. It, to me, it was talking about, like almost like a devil in disguise kind of thing, falling in love with the wrong person who will just suck the life out of you and of your friends, apparently. This is just, very deep. The imagery is very cool, very dark. I think, let's see, the quote that he wrote too was prompt number 9. What's number 9?
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me go up.
I'm up there too. I'm up there.
Okay. Whoever gets there first.
Number 9 is the devil is real and he's not a little red man. This was probably the more popular quote. The devil is real and he's not a little red man with horns and all and tail. He can be beautiful because he's a fallen angel, and he used to be God's favorite. That one, I think, at least 3 or 4 people wrote to.
Yeah, it was a very popular quote because it's very true. Because the thing is, when we were watching the series last week, it's very true that he can fashion himself into the eyes of others to make him look however he wants to whoever's looking at him, which means he can be beautiful to the person that's looking at him and not realize that he's actually the worst person you could be dealing with. And this right itself, it definitely made me think what you were saying, but it definitely made me think about man and society because, in certain ways, certain people, they can be like that. They can fashion themselves to be whatever certain people need them to be to try to gain whatever it is that they're trying to gain or to play a game that they want to play for whatever reason that they do have. The thing is, it's very true. He can be the most beautiful person, but on the inside, it doesn't match what's on the outside as to what you're seeing. I thought this was a cool quote that when I heard it last week, I knew immediately that this was what we had to add to the contest because how true is it? The fact that he used to be one of God's favorites and he was beautiful, but then he just kind of went and did his own thing, and then all the destruction and hurt that he wants to lay upon people. John's right. It's a great one all around because it does speak of the fallen star, and it makes me think of the inner illusion, the illusion that person wants to carry, how they see themselves and what they give upon others. It's a face that wants to cause harm, as I said, wanting to inflict on to others as well. I thought this was a great right all around because he definitely spoke to the face of what Satan could be. I mean, at the end of the day, for some people, do you really know who some people are? You never know who you could be talking to.
Yeah, it's true.
They could be the most beautiful person, and they could be the most ugliest person as well.
Actually, it seems to be the fact that most of the more beautiful people are very ugly inside.
Really?
Definitely seems to be that way.
Well, there's got to be a balance, though.
There is, but I'm just saying, like, if you go to Hollywood, like, say, the supermodels and all that, usually they are very ugly people inside.
This is true.
The head cheerleader at high school, usually a very ugly person inside. That's what I'm saying.
Superficial.
Yes.
Okay, now I understand because my brain was getting kind of confused. Sometimes, the ugliness is, okay, I understand what you're saying. The people who are self-absorbed, who are into themselves, only thinking for themselves, what they can gain from it, what's in it for me, stuff like that.
Right.
There you go.
That's what I was saying.
Okay. But first I didn't grasp that mentality. But I did now, and I let
And you let Sky in. Hello, Sky.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. I've got hazelnuts tonight.
Ooh.
Well, I've got some of those actually.
Yeah.
I got that big bowl of mixed nuts back there with hazelnuts. I love hazelnuts.
Yeah, we're still working on them for Christmas.
That's when I got mine.
But I don't chew on. Yeah. Yeah. Did you? You probably didn't hear the last poem, did you, Sky? Did you hear John J.E.G's
No, I came
poem?
in during comments. No, I came in during comments.
Okay. Well, slowly drowning dropped one on the board, and I guess we're gonna.
Well, we'll read that now since they are on the board.
Yeah.
Did you want to read?
Sure. If you want me to read.
Yes, sir. Take it away.
Take it away. It's called "Cry of the Phoenix" by Slowly Drowning. And it goes like this. Born yet again from the ashes, rises a creature of feathery fire. With a mighty sacred roar, flames rise into the stars, dancing among the caresses of the whispering winds. With wings outstretched, the sands of the deserts and seas all bow down before her majesty. Eyes of golden hue and talons of fire clawed before her. Reach for the feathers so fine, and reach for the golden confines, till finally at last she must come to rest, and back to the ashes she must go. End poem.
Well, tell me what to think.
Well, I mean, this is about the phoenix, of course, and I know a little bit about the phoenix, how it's born from ashes, how it's birthed from fire, and I believe it has a life cycle where it ends up going back to ash at the end, and then rebirth again over and over again, kind of like a reincarnation thing. And yeah, I've seen pictures of what the phoenix is supposed to look like, and yeah, she captured the. I think Slowly Drowning is a she. Maybe they can confirm on the group board. But if not, he captured the images very well with this. Very excellent imagery and really cool little brevity about the phoenix. Well done.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you. The phoenix is definitely a symbol for rising again. And, in life, there's a lot of different topics I find myself being talking about lately. Phoenix, rising. That's definitely one of those topics that I find myself in conversations with other people. I thought this was a cool write. I don't think this is long at all. I've read much longer. So if you think this is long, that's okay. It's all right. But the thing is, I know that she poured her heart out on this one. Especially for certain tidbits when they say that inside of me. It kind of reminds me of Bella's right when this person says, and they said, I'm a sweet, psychotic little psycho that screams at night, calling to the moon and stars. I'm simply out of my mind. I can make you curse. I can make you go back for more, and I can end everything, but every little string you tied to me. That definitely, I see it as a reflection, looking as to how man is, how they see.
Are we reading two different poems?
I don't know. What are we? This is the one that was linked to me.
Oh, I just read the one that she put on the board.
No, I linked inside of me. Well, then that's what Sky meant then. Because inside of me is what she put on the board. Twice. 3. Cry of the Phoenix was first put down. Okay. But then she put Inside of Me, so that's one I grabbed.
Oh, I opened up Cry of the Phoenix as soon as she dropped it and left it open.
Oh, well, crap, I'm talking about Inside of Me. Well, we can only read one tonight, Slowly Drowning, because we've actually got 16. So The Cry of the Phoenix is the one that we're going to choose.
Sorry.
Yeah, because usually we don't have this volume, but that's kind of a lot. So tonight we're asking everybody just for one. So I will go back and read that one, and I will just rely on your comments. I'm sorry. I'm going to have to go back and get that one comment later as well, and I will comment on this one later. But yeah, I will have to comment on this one later. I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Like I said, I opened up the first one she dropped, and I just left it open.
Well, yeah. Well, now I know what Sky meant when she said, which one are we reading? Because me and Sky were looking at two different things, and you were doing your own thing. So, yeah, okay. Let me see here. Your read didn't seem too long. No, this was a shorty, Cry of the Phoenix. Okay. Born Yet Again from the Ashes. Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. Some of my comment could circle about what I said before I started going off on the tangent that confused everybody. So we'll just go with that, okay? And, yeah.
She said it's okay. We can read it next time.
Okay.
We will. We'll throw it in next week's Mortuary folder so we can read it then.
Yeah. Maybe Sky can leave a better comment than me.
Sky, did you want to comment on Cry of the Phoenix? Did you? Sky? Hazelnuts?
She's here. She's probably muted. Did you drop the? Yeah, you dropped the number down for Joseph. Okay.
Yes, I did.
Okay. So yeah.
Sky must be busy. She must have had to walk away.
Yeah, she's still here. She's just a little busy because she actually dropped and I picked her up. So I don't think that she heard the beat. Nope, she dropped again. Sky, what are you doing?
Must be her phone, maybe.
Maybe she says her phone is possessed.
Yeah.
Well, call back and we'll pick you up. Okay, you read Cry of the Phoenix?
I did.
Okay, how about we just read this now Inside of Me while we're waiting for stuff.
All right, well, let me find the link.
Down. But anybody who is listening, drop only one, please, because we have a lot tonight, really. We want to make sure that everybody gets read.
This time I have the right one open.
Okay. Hop to it, sir.
Oh, you want me to read again?
Yeah, because when Sky calls back, I will play her sound call.
Sorry, I had to clear my throat. And hang on. Inside of Me by Slowly Drowning, the one that I was supposed to read to begin with.
Yeah.
But did not know because I am blind. It's called Inside of Me. I hate this. I hate this. I hate this. I'm locked in a cage, a cold, dark cage. The light doesn't shine, and the cold ashwood bars bite me every time. Everything is so agonizingly slow, and the executioner passes me by. I reach out a frozen stone hand, but it's chiseled and chipped away at each time, as if it was a rough edge to the masterpiece that mattered in the long run. But the carver didn't look ahead. The carver is unwise, I tell you, but you listen with a deaf ear, and you see with a blind eye, you strange, arrogant, haughty being. If you only saw the things around me with my open eyes that are tapped open to force reality to sink in. But it is for the best, I say, to let me live inside my own world of make-believe, and let me breathe faster to waste the dwindling oxygen that slowly is consumed by the growing fire in my cold, lonely room that I call home. I suppose I loved everything. I suppose my world is bright. I suppose it is hard to breathe. But they say that's all right. Dirty little lullabies play in my head, singing without end, playing on repeat. It's driving me insane. And they said, hush. And they said that I'm a sweet, psychotic little psycho that screams at night, howling to the moon and stars that I'm simply out of my mind. I can make you curse, I can make you go back for more, and I can end everything and every little string you tied to me, and I will no longer be on display for your little twisted mind to see. I laughed when you begged and cried for more, yet I lay bare for you upon the table, sitting like a pig with an apple in its mouth, already dead, and knowing what's going to happen. My lies are only your appetizer. There's so much more. I wonder how you're stomaching all of it, so bare, so bland, and so raw. But I see it in your devilish eyes. You want this. You want every inch, every possible bit of me that you can get your slimy hands on, only to shove it down your gullet to try and soothe your gluttonous appetite that gnaws on you from the inside out. It's hilarious to watch you as you devour every last morsel and bone, every last muscle and tendon, sucking on the sinews and the marrows, wearing my skin like a cloak, sucking upon my eyes like deviled eggs, eating my tongue like candy, and gnawing upon the heart that once beat. And yet, as you gaze upon my bare body upon the table, every inch on display, you have to stop and take a look and realize that you sadly miss one tiny detail. End poem.
Okay, now what do you think?
I'm taken aback by this. I'm not sure what to think. Honestly, this is one that I'll have to read again. My brain is having a hard time wrapping around poems today.
Well, that's okay. Okay. I see this as a inner struggle, an inner fight. I'm locked in a cage, a cold, dark cage, and how they hate this. The light doesn't shine, and the cold ashwood bars fight me every time. I definitely see this kind of like how I saw John's write, J-E-G, like the inner struggle. Yeah, I suppose I loved everything. I suppose my world is right, and it's hard to breathe, but they say that's all right. Yeah, this is what I definitely see. I definitely see a lot of aspects going on within the mind, the things that is being told to oneself in many different directions. But then, I don't know, the ending, yeah. And
the end.
upon my bare body, upon the table, every inch on display, you have to stop and take a look and realize that you sadly missed one tiny detail. That one does make you think. Yeah. I don't know. The ending stifles me because what I see through the whole right is like definitely I see a flow of thoughts, like what's going on inside that person's mind, what they're thinking at that moment, how they see themselves, what they're thinking of themselves. But I don't know, maybe it's also talking about when I go try to see what you saw about me. Like there's something about that person that you missed. I don't know. One tiny detail.
I'm looking at the author's notes to see if there's anything in there, but no. It's left up to you.
Yeah.
It's left up to the reader. I don't know, towards the end, I thought I saw somebody possibly with a low self-esteem thing, giving themselves over to somebody they don't like, but just doing it because they, even though they don't want to, they need to. I don't know.
That's a good way to look at it. A lot of us in life, we've done that before, too. And that's the thing, too. When you have low self-esteem, sometimes it causes you to do certain things because, okay, I'll say this. I said this to you before, a long time ago when I was a teenager. You remember Alan? I told you about Alan.
Mm-hmm.
He had me believing that I could never do any better because he was always saying, you can never do any better than me. I'm the only one who loves you. Sometimes, if you are with a person and they make you believe that, then sometimes it's just easier to be with that person because sometimes you feel that that's the best you can get. And sometimes when you have low self-esteem, it's very easy to be played upon by another because they see your weakness and they play on it. That's how I see it. But
yeah.
I could be wrong, and I am sorry if I if I said anything wrong or if I misinterpreted. Let's see what Sky thinks.
Sky, did you hear it?
I heard some of it while my phone was malfunctioning, but I'm reading through it now. I think this is the kind of piece that really can be definitely taken to the reader. I think many people can read it and may not hit on what they meant, but definitely can take a lot from it. And that's because it's a little bit abstract. But what I take from it, I see this, and where was it? The part that kind of brought it for me together was, and they said I'm a sweet psychopathic little psycho that screams at night, howling the moon and the stars, but I'm simply out of my mind. That section there led me to believe that this might be a struggle in the inner mind of somebody. And there's actually, to me, there's two types of speakers here. There's one part of the mind, and then the other part of the mind trying to strip the other down and to bare bone, and that's what I kind of see at the end. You want this, you want every inch of it. I see that as two alternate speakers, both of one mind, and the other one kind of stripping the other one, the one more vulnerable, down until they're there naked on the table and basically thinking that they have nothing left of themselves until the very end, to the last line. But you've missed one detail, that maybe that's that one glint of hope that person has, that they're not stripped of everything. And unfortunately, to me, it seems like something in a person's mind, and it's making them a little unhinged. So that would be my take on it. I thought it was very well done, and the aspect of you can take it different ways, and the aspect of, I do. It was a very good write. I think I enjoyed the rawness of the end. It's hilarious to watch devour every last morsel of bone, because I think there's a little bit of an unhinged sanity there. And so I think it was very, very strong voiced. Very well done.
Yes.
Okay.
My comment is everybody quiet. Everybody listening. Sky gets on the phone.
She's not allowed to have
quiet.
sugar. She's too young to drink wine, and she's not allowed to have sugar. I guess it's water then, slowly drowning.
Yeah. Maybe. It's great, right?
It is.
I'm going to finish leaving my comments in a bit.
Okay.
I'm in the middle, and we should keep on tracking.
Didn't Hilly Angel want to wait?
She was on the board.
Oh, she didn't see her.
I think my headset's broken, and I can't use it. So you guys are on open speaker now.
Open speaker. So we have to watch what we say?
Open speaker.
Well, there's no one here
Well,
but me, so.
Are we reverberating through the apartment?
Yeah, it's really empty. I haven't had the kids in probably 2 weeks, so I've been a little busy.
Should I?
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I was just saying that slowly drowning. Yeah, she said her name is slowly drowning, and I offered her water. Yeah, I kind of got the dark humor in that too when I said it.
Yeah. Well, no, that's me. Should I hold off on things?
I don't know. Heavenly Angel, are you out there? Say hi on the board.
Yeah.
If you want us to read your poem.
Because maybe since Sky is here, I'll drop hers down and play her SoundCloud until I get that confirmation. Because I saw her there for a brief moment.
Joseph's
So
Can I wait for Joseph?
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
But I'm willing to read one if you would like.
Okay, let me see here as far as. Oh, okay, well, I don't think Hello Lizzie's going to call, do you?
Yeah, I don't know.
Should I drop that one down?
Sure, why not?
Okay, I'm going to let Sky read that one.
Is it easy to read?
I think so. It was in the reading list last week.
It's a brevity. It's a brevity.
All right.
Yeah, it's to the quote too about the devil.
Okay. Blinded by a Handsome Devil by Glow Lizzie. An angel embodied within the gleaming glow, gospel whispered slowly on satin voice, ivory feathers spread across my body, lapis eyes of marble set upon porcelain face, sailing upon waves as clear as glass, satin hands wrap around my waist as we travel at the speed of light, traveling a tale like that of Halley's Comet. Eyes blinded to what is truth, forked tongue slithers within the garden, selling golden fruit rotted with maggots, malice lingering beneath the ivory cloak, reptilian flesh with jagged horns, dripping with the blood of fallen victims, blinded by the childish grin that fallen angel Satan comes bearing. And poem.
That was an easy one, right?
Yeah, except I think I said Satin and I said Satan.
You said, did you?
Sorry.
I didn't notice that.
I did. Oh, I'm sorry, Glow Lizzie. I love it. I'm sorry. My eyes are having issues.
Satin angel.
I said Satin every time. Don't let me read anymore. It's too late.
What did you think of it, Guy?
I thought it was great. Besides the fact that I messed it up, I really like her too. I'm really sorry. I thought it was great. I really, really liked the forked tongue slithers within the garden, selling golden fruit. I think you just had me read this because you wanted to hear me say maggots because you know it freaks me out. Rotted fruit. Yeah, malice lingering beneath ivory cloak. There's some really strong, dark images in there, and it kind of got me like itching all over my body because of just like picturing this cloak with a bunch of maggots underneath. Oh, that's some good poetry when it's got you creeped out there. But
yeah,
I thought it was great. I wish I didn't mess it up. I don't know why I did. I have no idea why I saw that. But I thought it was great, and I liked how they kept pulling it back to the beginning, and I really liked the title and how it played into it. And I gotta say, I did like the reptilian flesh too, with daggered horns. They brought the devil in, and they brought it in a new way. But they also brought it in a very, vintage way with the idea of the snake and everything like that, the serpent. So really well done. Sorry again for messing it up.
Well, I have to go there, and I have to read it again to you, Sky, even though you don't like that word, because the third stanza is actually my favorite. Eyes blinded to what is truth, forked tongue slithers within the garden, selling golden fruit rotted with maggots, malice lingering beneath the ivory cloak. Because that took me back, like you said, like a more traditional thinking of the Garden of Eden when he's tempting them to eat the apple.
Yeah.
That totally brought me there, and I thought that was really cool. I liked her imagery in this. It's very dark. And I thought this was great, right? And congrats on the HM. Hello, Lizzie. What do you think, hon?
Yeah, I thought this was cool because she chose the quote about, the devil being real. And as we discussed earlier, he can fashion himself to be in any form to make himself look beautiful to whoever who is looking at him because he has his own design. So he's going to do whatever he can, say whatever he can to get what he wants. And that's the thing you were talking about, temptation and tempted one, like that one stanza says. I thought this was a perfect unveiling of the devil, because it does speak to me of the disguises that is worn, because in life, how many people have worn disguises in the face of deceit to get what they wanted?
Yeah.
So this, it's perfect because even though Satan, in their own ways, it does not exist in the heart of man. Everybody has heart of darkness, and they definitely can touch on certain aspects where malice can be in one's heart to want to inflict on someone.
Yeah.
So I definitely thought this was an excellent read.
Sky wants a NyQuil and go to bed.
I did read it. It does say satin. Somebody should just cut me off today. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay.
You know, NyQuil, don't really give me NyQuil because it makes me drunk. I can't handle my NyQuil, like, for real. I always wake over with the hangover every time I drink NyQuil. I avoid that stuff.
NyQuil, to me, is the drug that keeps on giving because, like you said, it. You know, they always show the commercials after you take it, and they show you sleeping so soundly, and then the next morning you're like, woohoo! No, the next day I'm like, I'm like so stoned on NyQuil for the rest of the day.
It takes me like a day to recover. It takes me like a day to recover after NyQuil.
Yeah, it does. You're like a zombie.
You are.
And every time you yawn, you get dizzy. It's like, oh.
I'm glad I'm not doing it. I don't measure it either. I just drink it right out of the bottle. That might be part of the problem, but it's fine.
That might have something to do with it. Is there only like a sip left when you're done?
Terrible.
All right. Where did you want to go, hon?
Yeah, I'll read next. Joseph said NyQuil creates great poetry with wine. Sometimes that's true.
That is true. Yes, I've written some doozies when I was a little out there on NyQuil.
Yeah, well, see, the thing is, too, sometimes when you're, like, really tired, your inhibitions are a little looser, too, because you're not holding back. So, okay.
Joseph must be nursing a glass of wine.
That's okay.
I'm going to be
Sky saying,
snoring and drooling by the time Joseph calls. It's so late for me. You guys, 10:30. We got to rethink this time.
Well, Tuesday is just kind of our new time.
Yeah, because of the fact that...
Every Tuesday?
Yeah, because the Team of Voices has one at 7.
Yeah.
Team of Voices always has one at 7, and LCN has one at 9, so 10:30, 11 o'clock is the open slot.
Yeah.
Oh.
Tuesdays.
On Tuesdays.
Yeah. So, it is what it is.
All right, hon, you got to read for Adriani S.
Yeah.
Lots of coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With NyQuil in it.
No. Okay. I am going to read Adriani F. She was from the contest. She wrote to the quote, "Move on, Missy. I want to, but I can't." And this is called My Lone Time. I always remember my friends who stood next to me in my good days, making good memories, which I cherish. Throughout my life and my lone time, when I break down, I can't really find anyone next to me except if I spend my fortune to keep some, and then someone tries to hold my hand and spend a few soft words of consolation. I become very suspicious. Why on earth those people want to spend time with me? Perhaps their lusty eyes want to rip me naked, want to do the same. From far, spending no words, staying detached from them. I see ridges like a stone and cold like an ice, making sure, except my shadow, they can't really gobble up anything else. And I softly whisper to them, "Move on, Missy. I want to, but I can't." End poem.
Well, I thought this was a very interesting and original take on the quote. Joseph says he's on hold.
And I'm running there. And there you go.
And there's Joseph.
Hello, Joseph. Okay.
Maybe
Hello?
Soldier Step. Hello, Joseph. Hello.
Hello, Joseph.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Kay. Hello, Kay, Sky, and Stephen. How's everyone this evening?
Good.
Doing all right.
Outstanding. Glad to hear it. Some great poetry this evening has been read.
Yes, indeed. I'm surprised.
Sure.
I'm really genuinely surprised what all these quotes inspired. I mean, I knew that they were good quotes because the one night Kay and I actually sat and we binge watched the entire first season. And as we heard good quotes from it, we wrote them down and then put them in the contest and on the topic board. So we didn't look for them online. We watched it and grabbed them as we watched.
That's the way to do it. It's how I do my book. How I do my book quotes. That's the way to do it.
There you go.
Yeah. I was actually tempted to write for the contest. I'm not a big writer for contests, but I like for folks that to contribute to to the contest of folks that I'm friendly with on all poetry. But I read some of the poems, and I said to myself, I don't want to challenge my muse. There's so many great poems. I'll just listen to them being read. I just said I'll just sit back here with a nice glass of Cabernet and just enjoy hearing them read. So I acquiesced. I just couldn't do it.
That's why I never, ever read poems before I write for a contest, because I'll never.
Well,
I'll just be like, you said it better. They said it really good, so I don't really need to see it. I don't really need to say it again. Like,
yeah, that fact, and also the fact I'm not really familiar with the show in question or anything like that, and I didn't feel like doing, a lot of research at the time. So, and like I said, I'm just happy to hear all the great poems that were submitted, and it's a real joy, and yeah, it's great to hear everything. And Stephen, that one poem you read halfway back, I believe it was Slowly's poem. Man, you did a great job reading that poem. I don't know, that was a lengthy poem, and you did an outstanding job on it. I mean, I guess you really had to make up. You had to actually make up because you put the wrong one on before. So you did a great job there on the makeup call. You did well on the makeup call. So and Sky, I apologize to you. My daddy taught me never leave a damsel in distress. And once I heard you were waiting for me to call, I gulped down a nice cup of wine. Some is still dripping down over my chin. I have to get that off. And here I be.
thank you, Joseph. I love talking to you.
Oh, you're quite welcome. You're quite welcome. Your eyes. It's the NyQuil. It's not my voice.
It's a NyQuil. Yeah. I don't know if I'm gonna make it till 12:30, but I'll try my best.
Yeah, you may get your second wind after you read your poem and get some comments and maybe hear another poem or two. That might wake you up a little bit, inspire you.
Maybe.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Maybe.
Yeah, it'll be.
Right, yes, we need to get some comments on Andrani S.'s poem. As I was saying, I thought that this was a very original and interesting take on the prompt, the way she did this. Yeah, sometimes I think we're all there wondering why people, on our worst days, when that monster inside us is telling us how worthless we are, and we wonder, why do people like us? That's what I'm seeing here in this poem, is, why do people like me? And I've been there many times. I thought this was a great write. She was an extra HM. So very well done, an original take on the prompt. Okay. Sky, what did you think?
I thought it was a great piece. Also, I think that, I think sometimes we are our own worst. We judge ourselves more fiercely than anybody else, and we could lie to other people, but we can't lie to ourselves. And I think we all have those things in our lives that we do regret and that we consider to be dark. And no matter how much we try to make up for those things, I think sometimes they just stay with us. And sometimes we can really let that tear us down and not be able to move on sometimes from those things. And that might make us feel this way, why, and bring us down to that state of sadness or that state of depression, and you want to move on, but you just can't quite do it. You're not sure why other people accept you as you are, and sometimes it can be very difficult to get out of that state. So I thought it was really done well into that aspect.
Excellent comment. Joseph, did you want to make a comment?
I didn't hear the poem read, but I just did I commented on this the other day. I read it, and I briefly read it again as you were commenting. It's interesting. Folks that when people are treated, unkind or not too nice by maybe family or friends, or if you want to call people that treat you unkind friends, which I would never do. But, when people are treated or called names or bullied maybe when they're young, and then they actually do meet someone that's sincere and maybe kind to them, or, just do general courtesies, they don't know how to take it, and sometimes they do get scared away by that because they're not used to it. And there's the old saying, what we're not used to, we fear. We don't understand. So, I mean, something like that. I see that in this poem. Like, in other words, it looks like when the poetess is near someone who maybe treats her kind, she wants to stay, but yet she's afraid to. So, I mean, and then she just goes back to the people who possibly she feels comfortable maybe being insulted or not understood. I think people get to feel like that, and like she says at the very end, move on, Missy. I want to, but I can't. So it's like she's telling him, and I'm thinking that she can't get away from the folks that they may not treat her well, but she's used to it, and she's afraid to step out of her that comfort zone, if you want to call that a comfort zone. But that's how people are sometimes, sadly. And comment.
Yeah.
I mean,
And comment. That was a great comment.
Yeah. My friend Scott taught me that. I'm a rookie at this stuff, so I have to listen and learn.
I have to agree with what everybody says, because sometimes breaking free from certain things are harder. And the thing is, sometimes if it's hard to break free from it, I see it as sometimes that person means more to them than they realize, so it's hard to let go. So you're holding on to stuff that you need to just let go of, but you can't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's interesting. And if we're Are you finished, Kay? I apologize if I cut in. I thought you. It's interesting. Like I was reading a little bit of Sylvia Plath the other day, and I think I wrote occasionally about her. She had a very abusive father, and so now she marries an abusive husband. Now it makes you wonder. She was a very intelligent woman, and I'm sure she could have survived on her own. She didn't have to marry an abusive husband. And she just couldn't tear herself away from that. And it makes you wonder why. It begs the question, why? I mean, why? I mean, I'm not saying it's her fault for being abused, but it's just, if you go from an abusive father to an abusive husband, it's like, is it because that's what she was used to or comfortable with? It's something that the brilliant minds will be studying, I believe, until the end of time. And I can't figure it out. So, I mean, it's just, if you give that some thought, it's just I don't know. It just it gives you pause to think and comment.
Yes.
It does. I mean, there's a lot of truth there.
Yeah.
There. Okay.
Hope I caught her in time.
Oh, well, we'll see. I'm going to move forward because I know Angel, Heavenly Angel, pressed for time, and she wants.
She's out on the board.
Yeah, she's there somewhere. She actually wrote the three different quotes, and those being, "But you're the only light I've known. There are sacrifices you have to make in the name of love, and I think there isn't a closed door in the world that beauty can't open." And this is my heavenly angel, and it's called "In Love and Dedication to You." When love whispers as a sweet caress upon your soul, when your heart unfolds to the gentle stirrings of forever promises. This, oh, this is what I feel with you. Your name is carried upon the breeze to stir the longings within the depths of my very soul. For too long I hid behind a veil of sadness, of regret, of insecurity. You gently pushed the veil aside to place a kiss of forever upon my lips. I think there isn't a closed door in the world that beauty can't open. Everything about you is beautiful, your heart, your soul, your mind. Never have you made false promises that there won't be dark times, but you're the only light I've known, and together we'll make it through. There are sacrifices you have to make in the name of love, and I'll sacrifice my past to start fresh with you. Today and always, I'll love you with all my heart, my soul, my flaws. You're my everything. You are my heart. You have my heart, and you always will. End poem.
Yes, this is a wonderful write. She did very well, and of course she was the bronze winner in the contest as well. So yes, you didn't have to write dark as long as you wrote to the quote and you owned it, and she definitely did that because one thing Heavenly Angel knows how to do is write the love poems, and she did not disappoint here. This was a wonderful one. This is one that everybody wishes that their significant other would say to them, you know. So this definitely, of course, made me think of you. And yeah, this is just a very loving and heartwarming poem. Well done.
Yeah.
Yes, I know. You're last. So Sky, what did you think?
I thought this was a great piece. I really, I do enjoy Heavenly Angels love pieces. I tend to stumble on them quite a bit. I really liked the part I liked best was never have you made false promises, that there won't be dark times, but you're the only light I've known, and together we'll make it through. I like that because it states that not everything's going to be perfect all the time, but together they will shine and get through those dark times as long as they're together. And I like that because it's true. And sometimes people tend to wash out and focus on positives, but kind of ignore negatives or dark times, and it kind of catches up with them after a while. I think if you just ignore all those bad things and don't deal with them when they come along. So I like it that it also says, there will be the dark times, but we'll get through them together, and then the sacrifices part. So, this is a very positive poem, and even in its positivity, it even tackles some of the darkest parts, some of the sacrifices that you make, but still ends out puts it in a positive way, in a positive light, saying, even though these things may happen, we're gonna conquer them together today and always. So I liked that. It's a beautiful piece. Very well done.
What are the magic words, Sky? There we go.
I know he waits for it. I created a monster.
Before I get a comment from you, Joseph, I just want to say hello to Sharon, who just popped out onto the board. So
she said they could read like wedding vows.
Yes, she did say they read like wedding vows. Yes, and that's awesome. And so now I will go and say, Joseph, did you want to make a comment?
Yeah.
Oh, it'll be my pleasure. Well, you folks know I have a sentimental weakness for romantic poetry, especially so heartfelt as this particular write is. I think that the three quotes that Heavenly wrote to, she did a great job with those. But I always find if you're writing from your heart, and you take these particular type quotes where they're based around beauty and love and romance and suffering as well. The poem always seems to come out just flowing beautifully. It keeps the reader, going right along with you and getting into what you're feeling. And I think she did a wonderful job on this, and she should be commended. And congratulations on the honor that she received for this outstanding romantic write and comment.
Comment. All right. And what before?
Let me make my comment so we can move forward.
Okay.
I just wanted to say that I thought this was a beautiful write. I didn't think about that till Sharon said it on the board that it could read like Wedding Vows, because this is a very beautiful write that speaks of love and devotion. It's speaking about how you're going to be that everything to that person and how much they mean to that person as well. It's a beautiful write of love. It really is.
Yeah, indeed. Well done, Heavenly Angel. And now let's welcome my sister in darkness,
Yeah.
Sweet Pea.
Hello.
Hi, Sweet Pea. How you feeling?
I'm doing okay. Getting ready to take a pain pill soon. But I had to drop by and talk about the darkness of darkness.
Good.
Pain pills good.
I was thinking about NyQuil, so I mean, I could just guzzle down NyQuil. You can take some painkillers, and we can have a party. Joseph's got the wine. I mean, I don't know.
Let me get
we'll
my
make
Tylenol
it,
PM.
Our comments will be interesting.
How are you enjoying Lost in Space, Stephen?
Well, so far I only watched the first episode of the second season, but yeah, I liked it. I'm looking forward to watching the rest of it.
Did you watch the first season?
I did. I watched the whole first season. Yes, I did.
Okay.
I watched the movie when it first came out in the 80s.
No, you have the seasons on Netflix are amazing.
Well, I did. I see that, but
Much
I'm too
better
busy
than the
catching
movie.
up on. So busy catching up on the 100.
I know.
I'm on season 6 to 100, so
Oh.
I just binge watch.
I forgive you.
I went on strike. After my favorite character died, and so I'm trying to catch up now.
Okay, I understand going on strike when things like that happen.
I do. I understand too. Yes, because with that show Game of Thrones, if they'd have killed Tyrion Lannister, I'd have been pissed and stopped watching.
Out of
but
there.
luckily, he lived through the whole thing.
Okay, don't tell me anything, because I'm only on season 3 of Game of Thrones. I'm a little behind.
Oh, that's sad.
But
because you're really going to be upset.
Today. I watched a spoiler about Jon Snow today, and I should stay away from YouTube. And then I'm like, I shouldn't have done that, but now I know spoiler alerts for Jon Snow.
We can't discuss this any further, unfortunately, because we don't want to spoil it for Sky. But I finally did watch the series finale just the other day, and I'm wondering to myself why everybody was so upset about it. I thought it ended well. I don't know.
Like a
Maybe it's just me.
or something? Like there was a can of Coke or Pepsi, or I don't know. Something.
What the hell are you talking about a can of Coke for? I have no idea what you're talking about.
The one that aired live, someone left a can of soda on a table, and it was on the live version, and everybody was like, "Oh, it's a spoof! Oh, it's a this," and it was all over the place. No one?
Okay.
No?
Oh, I didn't even see it. I didn't notice. Apparently, I was too overtaken by the actual scene and the acting that was done in there, so I didn't pay attention to a can of Coke.
I didn't see a can of Coke.
Oh,
damn.
I don't know if that was it. There was something. I'm not sure. I don't know.
Yeah.
But,
I don't know.
You know, that's a great thing about this show here that we're doing tonight, is that they can kill off everybody, and then they could be back next season as somebody else.
There is no next season.
No, I meant the show that we're doing tonight.
Oh,
American Horror Story.
Yeah, they could kill off everybody, and they could just come back as somebody else next season. Like, that's the great part about this show.
I didn't write for American Horror, so that's really great.
Okay, sweet pea.
Yes.
Yeah, we threw yours in a room since you got to take a pain pill, and you might.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I did not write to your prompt, but I wrote a horror, so I feel bad that I didn't write to American Horror Story.
No, that's fine.
But I did write to one of your sayings, like, we were afraid of the darkness, but you are the darkness. So this is for my king, the darkness. So this is one for the road. I stand here at the Dark Towers Hotel, looking down into the dead zone I used to call my hometown. The mist is thick and fog covers most of the homes. Strawberry Springs looks like a town under the dome. I wonder if anything has changed down there at all. Is Carrie thinner? Is Cujo still barking and ready to maul? I guess it grows on you. It seems to say, I know what you need. Feed it to McKean. The lawnmower man never misses a weed. Of course, there is the stand where all the drivers park their trucks. I have money for Christine, but I will also need a bunch of luck. Jim don't want to part with his fire starter machine. It's his dream. I still see Jim's wife that day, 11/23/63, burning, and wow, she screamed. It was a summer of misery for all of us that year. Felt like we all walked the Green Mile, living each day in fear. Tom fell from the ledge during the graveyard shift. How, no one knows. To this day, he eats and drinks from a straw. Can't feel his toes. Sam sold patches for Quitters Inc. that summer. He lost an eye, and now he stays locked in 1408. Refuses to tell us why. I ran off to the mountains to play some baseball. The Colorado Kid is what I'm called, but it didn't work out at all. A machine called the Mangler chewed up my body, left me half dead. I only see red out of one eye. Lay all day sideways in a bed. I want to lay in Pet Cemetery with my favorite cat. Won't let me out of this room, no matter the facts. No one believes me when I scream the boogeyman is here, because sometimes they come back. They ignore my tears. I have a silver bullet. Will soon be in my head. I have friends. I too have friends. One more shot. One for the road. And then I'll be dead. And poem.
Yes, I could say is Bumpty Bump. Bumpty Bump, my life for you. This is really, really cool. Yeah, all these Stephen King titles put in here in such a great way. This is awesome. I love this. Oh, my favorites. Some of my favorites are in here. Of course, you know I love The Stand, but sometimes they come back in 1408. Of course, Pet Cemetery. This is all great. And Quitters Inc. for crying out loud. I can't believe you threw that one in there.
I love that one.
This is awesome. What'd you think, Sky?
True grit.
Oh no, I thought this was brilliant. I'm a very big Stephen King fan. You know, I didn't read Dark Tower series though. I didn't do that one. You know, it took me a second, and then I realized what you were doing, and then I'm like, this is brilliant. And I threw the Green Mile in my right too. So the great minds think alike, I guess. But I thought this was. Called myself a great mind. Anyway, I thought this was great, and The Stand, the longest book ever. I think it might have been topped off by the last one of Wicked series. That one was like 1,800 pages. It was a long one, but that's a different writer. Anyway, this was a really, really great piece. I really loved how you put all of it in there, and you kind of, you know, this is like when you get a word bank, but they're not just words; they're actually titles, and it's actually more difficult than you might think, because I've done this with poetry titles. You know, with poetry titles, that can be a little bit more abstract, so maybe even the piece that I did is a little bit easier, but to actually put in real titles that aren't abstract and do it so well, I mean, this is brilliant. It must have taken you a little bit of time to figure out how to put everything in there. I love the tribute, because I love Stephen King, and I love how you put it all in there. So really, really well done. Grave Shark's nose. The transitions were just brilliant, really great. I liked the graveyard shift, how no one knows. To this day, he eats and drinks from a straw and can feel his toes. Really, really well done. I can't believe you did it with rhyme. Really, really well done.
Thank you.
Joseph, what did you think?
Well, first off, I need to ask Mr. King what he did with my poet, his friend Sweet. Clearly that's Mr. King here in the studio with us, speaking with us tonight. So, hello. That being said, hello, Sweet, and happy, healthy New Year to you.
Hello. Happy, healthy New Year to you, too, Mr. Sweet. Mr. Sweet Moon. That's my beautiful moon.
Thank you, Sweet. Now getting back to this wonderful tribute, if I may, for a minute. Obviously, the titles all woven in is simply brilliant, and obviously the marvelous metaphors and moving all the titles in there like that is just outstanding. And Sky actually stole my thunder there with her last sentence. The fact that you put this to rhyme. Which is actually I have a sentimental weakness for end rhymes. It's just fabulous, right? And a wonderful tribute, and did a great job, Sweet.
Thank you. Thank you.
And comment.
What did you think, hon?
Oh, I thought this was cool because you wove so many Stephen King titles into there. You brought a lot in there, and I'm sure that they're, depending on who reads it, they may not catch some of those titles because some of them I feel are kind of obscure.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of them are very well known. But yeah, the way you brought it together, it just creates its own story that's cool.
Thank you.
Indeed.
Yes, indeed. To quote T.S.S. Eliot, right?
What?
This is how the world ends. This is how the world ends. This is how the world ends.
Yeah?
Not with a bang, but with a whimper.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen The Lawnmower Man in forever.
Oh, I like that one.
I haven't read that one. That's one I have not read. I've only seen the movie.
I've seen the movie a lot. I
Oh
like
my
the Joe's character, Dick Fahey. You did that awesome, that character.
You have to read the short story. Oh my gosh, it's hilarious. Well, in a Stephen King way, it's hilarious.
Right.
Yeah.
In a very dark, humorous way, yes.
Right.
Do you know what the first I watched The Shining, the movie, and then I read the book afterwards. And
So different.
Oh.
I just loved the book. But then they had this, when I was younger, they had this short TV series, went over a couple of days, and they did The Shining, but it was like a mini series, but it was like a movie, but it was broken into. And and no one ever really remembers what I'm talking about when I say that, and I don't know what it's called or where to find it. But I just know that.
It was called The Shining.
Well, I meant like that. It's hard to get. It's hard to get a hold of a copy of that. But I thought they did so much better. What I remember most is the hedges. They did such a better job with the hedges. So I was like,
there was no maze in the book. It was animal-shaped bushes that would creep up on them. Yeah.
And do you know none of that exists at the hotel that he wrote at?
No.
Well, yeah, I mean, most of that come out of his head.
Yeah.
Also,
Yeah,
if I remember,
none of that exists at the
spoiler
stand.
alert. If anybody's read Dr. Sleep or gone to see the movie Dr. Sleep, the book ends the same way. For The Stand, I mean. Not for The Stand, for The Shining.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of a conflict there.
Oh.
So I remember reading The Shining, and the hotel blows up at the end.
Yeah.
But yet all of a sudden, for Dr. Sleep, the hotel's back.
But in Dr. Sleep, it does blow up.
Yeah, but it blows up again.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it resurrected itself.
Yeah, I don't know. I think he just all of a sudden realized how popular the Kubrick version of The Shining was, so he just wrote off of that, I believe is what happened.
Probably.
Yeah. A little bit of a
The
sell.
hotel is very scary.
Yeah.
The place that Stephen King was inspired by is very spooky and very haunted and very interesting and very much a very, very beautiful and antiquated hotel, and it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Red rum, red rum, red rum.
Red rum. Red rum, red rum, red rum.
I mean,
Red rum.
You got to admit that no other book or movies, the other movie that they made a miniseries couldn't have been as good without with in the original with Nicholson in there. I mean, he was fantastic. I mean, he was Michael Jack in that. I mean, that was stunning. What a stunning performance. I mean,
yes.
Man, the more I'm thinking about it now, when he puts his head through the door there, I'm seeing that right now. I'm gonna have to take some NyQuil and write tonight myself. That was an eerie sight for sure.
The Storm of the Century.
Shall I give a spoiler alert? Should I say spoiler
my
alert?
favorite.
Storm of the Century.
In the movie Dr. Sleep, when Ewan McGregor is walking around in the hotel, he walks up to that door and puts his head through the hole that's still in the door.
Yeah, from his dad. Yeah.
How about that? Yeah.
My favorite. I read The Stand every year.
Oh.
I read it about every other year.
I read it every year. I love that book. It's
a great book.
Just great book. An amazing, politically, socially, it just has so many. It has so much depth and character, and it's just amazing. I love that book.
Yes, and I'd like to see the series that they have coming out on. I think it's on CBS on demand, though. That where you got to pay for that channel to watch it. I believe they're making a series about the Stand.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
How about that?
I don't know if they can do any good.
Well, yeah.
I like the
miniseries
miniseries that they did years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My
I don't know. I liked it, except for the very end. I thought the end was cheesy.
Always 4 tapes on VHS.
My favorite Stephen King movie was Firestarter. So.
Oh. The Green Mile.
Yeah.
Well, The Green Mile. That's like a series.
Mine has to be The Green
Always.
Mile.
Yeah, absolutely.
I read that book so many times when I was a teenager, and I had it actually on audio. And I know this sounds weird, but I would go to sleep to it. I don't know if it was that guy's voice. Like, I don't know what it was, but when I was growing up, when I was a teenager, I'd always just, if I needed to go to sleep, I would just put that. 2 things would either happen. I would start to stay up later because I would get into the parts of the book, but then a lot of times I would just fall asleep to it. That's kind of like a weird, ironic fact that probably nobody should know. The Green Mile.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Since guys talking about the Green Mile, how about we drop our poem in the room?
What did you say?
I said, since you're talking about the Green Mile, how about we drop your poem in the room?
Oh, okay.
Indeed.
Did you want to put it down, or did you read it?
Oh, I wanted to do the recording. I can't read right now.
Okay.
Can I do my recording? Is that okay?
Yeah, we got it.
Sorry.
Yep.
It won't be good if I read right now. Thank you.
That's fine.
Okay, so I hit play?
Thank
So
you.
hit play. Here, if everybody's ready.
Here I go.
This was written for a quote from American Horror Story, Season 1. People tell stories to cope with their fears. All arts and creations are just myths to give us some sense of control over the things we are scared of. Behind the Yellow Door by Sky Darkle. There are little lines that crack on my fingers, beneath the sting, the wiped blood, the red. She caught me pocketing crumbs of cheese. There is a thing I learned about Mrs. Talbot, a few things really, when I came to live with her and Mr. Talbot about 3 years ago. One of them was she liked to keep the food locked up, and the other, I wasn't to have it. But you see, the crumbs were not for me. In the basement, behind the yellow door, lives Mr. Jingles. I named him that because I saw a movie once, peeking when I was to be in bed. I lived with my mother then. It was something like The Green Road, or something about traveling for miles. All I really remember is Jingles the Mouse, and so I thought what a perfect name. It was him I stole the crumbs for, and even though she took most of them, I was clever enough to put some in my secret spot. I can't tell you exactly where my secret spot is, as it is a secret, of course, and I was told one must never tell secrets to anyone. That is another one of Mrs. Talbot's rules. I learned it when the teacher asked me about a picture I had drawn of Mr. Jingles. I told her he lived behind the yellow door. After she had a meeting with Mrs. Talbot, and Mrs. Talbot was very angry. She said I was never to tell anyone our secrets, not even Mr. Talbot. I like Mr. Talbot, and I hate keeping secrets from him, as he is so very nice and kind. He works all the time, and when he comes home, he sneaks me treats and smiles. He is afraid to break Mrs. Talbot's rules, also, I think. There is one thing I don't mind about Mr. Talbot leaving many days at a time. I get to see Mr. Jingles a lot more. For some reason, I break a lot more rules when Mr. Talbot is not around. Rules I didn't even know were rules. Sometimes I am not even doing anything, and that seems to also make Mrs. Talbot angry. She says that there is a special place for bad boys, behind the yellow door. I don't really understand why that is where they go. Sometimes I think Mrs. Talbot doesn't know what is behind it, but I never tell her. That is my secret. Behind the yellow door, Mr. Jingle waits. He always says hello with top hat in hand. He wears glasses and soot-colored boots. He speaks in an accent I really can't say I know from where. He says he's traveled all over the world, and that he would be glad to take me someday to see the ocean. I have never seen the ocean before, but I have heard it is so big you can't see to the other side unless you take a very big boat and travel for a very long time. I think it should be very fun to travel with Mr. Jingle someday, and don't mind at all the little lines that crack on my fingers as I feed him the little bits of stolen cheese. End poem.
Yes,
Wow.
indeed. Yeah. I thought this was a very cool story poem. More of a story than a poem, but very, very well written. And so many things went through my head while I was reading this as to what Mr. Jingles actually was. First of all, I will say, of course, The Green Mile is my almost all-time favorite movie, from especially Stephen King movie-wise. So I love how you threw that in there. But I'm picturing two things behind that door: either a mouse in a top hat, or Gary Oldman as Dracula. This is just this is very well written, and congrats on the gold.
Thank you, Stephen.
Indeed.
Joseph, what did you think?
Well, first off, let me congratulate Sky on a wonderful writing and a well-deserving gold. And I also apologize. The other day, I believe I left you a small, I'll call a brevity-style comment, simply because I had got distracted and got called away from what I was doing to do something else. And I will, in fact, go back and update that comment, or I'll just leave it with you here. Since we're all family here, and I'm always honest with my family, I'm not a real big fan of long, unrhymed poetry. However, this particular piece, since I enjoy also the Green Mile, the way you crafted this here tale, just it captures the reader's attention from your opening line to your outstanding closing line with the cracks in the fingers, and you don't mind feeding the cheese, and you'd love to take off with the mouse in the boat. And your imagery obviously was totally outstanding. And it's a kind of long poem that if a person doesn't really like long poems and they read it, they would actually be tempted to read it again, which I just heard it again. And I'm going to read it again hopefully tonight before Jack sneaks into my door. And I'll leave you another another comment. And for now, outstanding, Sky. Did a great job. And
Thank you,
end comment. Oh, my pleasure.
Awesome comment. And what did you think, Sweet Pea?
I think it's an incredible story. It's full of marvelous wit and fantasy, and you forget that this is imagination, and you're in a story. You become part of that story. You're in the basement, and you're there with Mr. Jingles, and you can feel him and pet him and touch him, and you can literally be that story. And that's one of the things I love about being a part of a story. And it takes a really good writer for me to become part of a story, and you've done that, Sky. And I am overwhelmed with it. This is just so appealing to me. Like, I want to go on that boat with you. I want to go on that ocean with you. And I want to know who could treat you so poorly. I'm angry at this person, and I want to go rescue you from the Talbots. And, I don't care what's behind the yellow door. I care about the little girl that they're treating so poorly. And I want to take you away from that, because I've fallen in love with the little child that you are, that you care so little for yourself, and you want to help the mouse. I want to hear more about this creature. I want the ending of this book, because that's how wrapped up I am in this. You're the story. You brought me into it. Now I want more of it.
Thank you, Sweet.
Yes, and is it a mouse behind that door? That's where the bad little boys go, is behind that door. Is Mr. Jingles a bad little boy that's being kept behind the yellow door? And I mean, you don't have to answer this, of course. I'm just throwing this question out there. Correct.
It is written. It's a little weighted in its imagination, but it is written from a child's perspective. And because the quote being people tell stories to cope with fears. So it is the speaker who is trapped behind the yellow door. The Mr. Jingles, there isn't quite a definition of what Mr. Jingles is exactly, but it is an imaginary thing that the child uses as a coping mechanism for being abused, starved, and neglected. So it is a very weighty piece. The imagination part does take the bulk of the right, but it's because it is written from a perspective of a child. So it is not meant to be graphic. It is meant to be in their perspective and their understanding of it. Yeah.
Yeah, Yeah, if
Wow.
I may chime in real quick. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's a proven fact. It's a proven fact that children have much greater imaginations than adults do, and I think that's one of the beauty of Sky's verse. There is that she leaves that interpretation over about what's behind the door to the reader, and it makes us obviously use our imagination with all great poems, or that's what a great poem does, or a great story does actually. It makes you think, and you could, like I said, we could all interpret it differently. I mean, like you had said, Stephen, I see Bram Stoker's Dracula guy back there with the top hat on, and a child may see a mouse back there with sunglasses on, but it's all interpreted, and it's a wonderful it's a great way to get into to have your reader think like that, and just let them put whoever they want back there. But I also think, and I think Sweet made an interesting comment, how the child who has very little of her own is willing to supposedly steal a little bit of cheese and then share it with her imaginary friend or whoever's behind that green door, and she's willing to take the risk to do that. I think that's a lovely concept, and children do those kind of things. They're amazing, and they touch your heart deeply. And this story does indeed. I think it actually deserves a double, triple read just to get into to think about it a little bit more from a child's perspective, and it doesn't hurt us as adults to just harken back to when we were young, and we had these crazy vivid imaginations that we would never share with anybody. We're like, now we're articulate enough to share them, we could put it to words, where a child can't put those kind of things to words. That's the beauty of this verse. So yeah, again, excellent right, Sky. So I won't have to leave you a comment. My fingers will get tired of doing all the writing, as my tongue is now from talking. But again, excellent right.
Thank you.
What did you think, hon?
I thought this was a great write because, it's very true that children, their imagination, it's more broad than an adult's imagination can be. And sometimes one disconnects. With the story, I saw the child disconnecting and instead focusing on Mr. Jingles because he was the lonely friend who helped the child to get through what was going on. And sometimes, that's where imagination comes into play and, escape into other worlds. That's the disconnection of the mind and body to get to a happier place, to get through what's going on. I definitely thought this was an amazing write. I loved it all around because we were going back and forth. I felt this was the gold one. So you listen to me on this one because this one spoke to me a lot.
Well, I mean, it was a tough contest to judge, so I was kind of teetering here and there all over the place with the judging on this one. But yeah, I knew for sure that Sky was going to be in the top three. I just had to read the rest of them because you told me that you think Sky is the gold, and I had only read like 4 of the poems, so I still had to read some more.
Well, this one definitely was very profound. It spoke to the quote. It spoke in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, yes, it
really
did. It's very well done.
Yes.
Absolutely. And I could actually see this being a little child story, a little pamphlet, or a little booklet for a child to actually read. I mean, it's that excellent. The more you read it, absolutely.
Yeah, indeed. I'll quote Ted Knight from Caddyshack: "Top notch, top notch."
Great movie. We're really going through some great movies this evening. Tell you.
Yep. Joseph, we dropped your poem in the room. Did you want to read it for us?
Oh, you did. Let me see. I don't see it on my thing on my phone here. I'll reboot or whatever you call it. I do see it. I do see it. And like I said, I apologize for not writing to the prompt. But like I said, I saw those fabulous rights, and I said, well, I probably have something from the archives just so that I could contribute to this wonderful show tonight. I'm happy I did, And without further ado, let me pull this up. It's actually a brevity in couplet style, and it is goes something like this: the singing shadows, music of the night. Last night my soul asked the query of existence. We dream our dreams alone with no resistance. Wind walks, the candle flame as stars weep. Tears shall spring where woes are deep. Thoughts of dying, a redolent death scent. Lost in eternity, flaming fire like nails torment. Leather-spined death face opened mine eyes upon this life that fades and flickers and dies. For every hour that wilt, spare me now, the constant cloud of sorrow that haunts my brow. Dirge hymns of desire as widespread as spring, 'neath the shadows eternally sing, the sainting upon the lyric string. End poem.
Very, very cool. See, and you didn't get to hear me read it, even though I read it 16 times earlier. And on the 17th time, it's still.
I had read your comment. And I actually replied. I said, well, if I don't call tonight, you'll be at least you're well practiced at reading it. So, but anyway, and I do thank you for that lovely, I do thank you for that wonderful comment you had left me, Steve.
Yeah, I don't think I want to go into it too much on the air, but I will say that
no,
this
there's no need. No.
Yeah, but this poem did invoke quite a few thoughts in my head, and the contemplations that I go through every day, like this brother. The reality of Satan, because I saw that you said it equated mostly with that the quote about Satan being real, and that he's not always ugly, he's sometimes just beautiful, and I do question that sometimes.
Yeah, well, I left you a fairly long-winded comment to your comment, and hopefully that helps you a little bit with what you had presented to me. But like anything else, if you believe in God, which is goodness, you have to believe in Satan, which is evil, and Satan wears many disguises. He could be a dragon today, and he could be a queen tomorrow. So and Satan preys on folks that are down and out, needing help, that are lonely, that don't love themselves, and they're vulnerable to Satan. But and I believe I made reference to some of that in the quote I left you. But I'll end this. I'll end this my long-windedness.
And I'll end mine too by just saying, excellent couplets, excellent right, brother.
Oh, thank you, Stephen. I'm much appreciated.
Oh yeah, me too. Sky, what did you think?
Oh, like all Joseph writes, it's just absolutely excellent. The wind waltz with, the alliteration, even if you just look at the technique of the right itself, techniques are flawless. And then you get into the message behind it. I went on this long spiel last time I did a show about what I look for when I read something and what makes me really things stand out for me, and I mentioned it was technique, the way that it was written and the message that's behind it, and the clarity of the right. And this is just one that's really, really done well with wind waltz with the candle flame as stars weep. Tears shall spring, their woes are deep. I just absolutely love it, the way that it rolls off your tongue, and it's not done by chance. It might be done by chance because he might just be that good. But, that all those W's and all in those two lines, in the way that it clings to the rhyme. Even if you just take the wind waltz with the candle flame as stars weep, tears of spring where woes are deep. It reads like a lullaby, a beautiful, intricate, and well-written lullaby. But you go through it and you can't help but fall in love with how wistful it is. But yet it is, contemplating something very dark and very light. and kind of pushing the reader to think about things a little bit deeper. So it sounds wistful and light on the tongue and on the palate. But then when you start thinking about the words themselves, you start really kind of digging deep inside yourself and find yourself asking questions about existence and about what happens after existence. So I like that on the surface it reads so well and so wistful, yet there's so much bricked behind it. And I think that is a beautiful way to present a message. Really well done, Joseph.
Thank you kindly, Sky. I appreciate your lovely comment. And indeed, there's some there's some thoughts that have to go into it. I think there's obviously it talks about sadness, but then it talks about getting strong and being strong and knowing that there is evil out there, and we always have to fight against it, and especially folks like ourselves that have a vivid imagination, who are empathetic towards other folks. We're the ones that could get hurt, very easily. So yeah, I think at first glance, if you read my poem, it sounds like it might just be a real a whimsical rhyming poem. But for someone that likes to think about themselves and about the people that they care about, there's some interesting messages between the line, and naturally they're open for interpretation by the readers. By the reader himself or herself. So, I'm glad you enjoyed it, Sky. Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Sweet Pea, what did you think? Sweet Pea still with us?
Yes.
Sweet Pea muted?
Might be.
Yes, I have dogs. Sorry.
That's all right.
I'm going to go a little different way. A quaver, a ghost note, rhythmic and unheard, he plagued the house of songs. From the hell of his home, below, masked and terrorized by the reflections of scars on the face he called home. I went more Phantom of the Opera, where ugliness and, all of that may be what they believed, a killer with someone that was seeking something beautiful, and she loved something that was ugly, because there is ugliness and there is pain and there is all of that, but there was still something beautiful in all of that, but had to be rescued because of that darkness and all of that. So I got the darkness and the ugliness and the devil and all of that, but there was something beautiful within all of that. So I know a lot of people saw the darkness weaved in all of that, but I still saw something beautiful weaved in all that too. Because I saw both, and I just went to Phantom.
Yeah,
that's wonderful.
Great comment.
Wonderful comment, sweet. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
What do you think, hon?
Well, Sweet Pea, she saw a beautiful thing there. I see, if you're right, that does speak about some things we were talking about tonight, about how good and evil do exist in the world, and about strength and weakness, because the quote that's been the most popular is the one about the devil tonight, and how he preys on the weakness and making a person vulnerable. I definitely think this is a great rite of reflection. It definitely speaks about, reflecting within. If one is wise, then they'll be able to understand what's being said to them.
Yeah.
It's a great rite, Justin.
Thank you kindly, Kay. I always appreciate your wonderful, uplifting comments. And if I may just go back to Sweet's comment for a minute. Wonderful observation, Sweet. Yes, and like I said, there is some beauty in this poem. There's some ugliness, obviously. There's good and evil, and I think it was William Blake that said, or it might have even been Rami that said, the ugliest flower is still beautiful. So I mean, we need to find beauty in mostly everything if we can. Obviously not Satan, And getting back to the Phantom of the Opera, I think you may have seen my poem. I wrote a poem today based on the Phantom of the Opera, the show itself, and the music and the play. Because I was looking for something in my attic today, and I came across a music box that I bought like 25 years ago in New York at the play. So if you folks want to get a chance, you may want to read that poem. It's really, I think it's really wonderful, and you'll appreciate it. It's just such a coincidence that you had mentioned Phantom of the Opera, Sweet. You are clairvoyant, my friend. Yeah. I mean, it's really clear. If you don't mind, I'll link it to you as time permits, and you can take a look at it. And yeah, I think everyone will enjoy it. I really do.
It was the line beneath the shadows, the eternally sing.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's it. And also in my title, it was I mentioned the music of the night, but it was actually music for a different reference. It had nothing to do with the poem I wrote today. It's just a coincidence that I was, you're looking for something and you wind up finding something else, and then you get distracted. You don't even want to look for the other thing. Well, I did anyway, but because it had a very sentimental appeal. It had a very sentimental appeal for me, and when I moved, I never unpacked a whole lot of things. But anyway, that's another story. And that, like I said, if I get a minute, I'm sure Kay will read it because she reads a lot of my stuff during the night. And if I get a chance, I'll try to link it to Sky and you as well, Sweet.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I already read it.
Oh, it'll be. Yeah, it'll be my pleasure. Yeah. It was pretty. It was actually pretty. Yeah. I think I described that attic pretty well, don't you think, Steve? But not
yes, you did.
Exactly
yeah, you did.
Like obviously for poetic reasons, I put some light in there with the spiders and everything. But I think it turned out well, and I enjoyed it. But more so, I enjoyed finding the music box. It was just brought back some great memories.
Right. Yes. Exactly. Awesome.
So many memories up in those attics.
Yes, for sure. Before we go any further, let's welcome Raz to the room. Hello, Raz.
Hello. How you doing, Steve? It's me. I was having a nightmare, but then I remembered that there were shadows on the airwaves, so I decided to call before there was time to read my poem.
That's fine.
That's good.
Good evening, Raz.
Welcome aboard.
Raz.
Good evening, Joseph. I hear you were talking how the devil sometimes plays people like a string. At least that's what I gathered from your poem.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, he can
all
play
that
some
might
music.
Be true, but there's always the salvation of God at the end of the tunnel.
Pop it in.
Oh, yeah. There's no question. There's no question about that. But I don't. I prefer not to get into religion and spirituality at this time. But yeah, I mean, you do have a point.
Yes, exactly. Try to keep that as much as we like to talk about it. Try to keep it out of the radio shows. It looks like my wonderful wife has dropped my poem into the room to read.
Yes.
Oh, outstanding! I was going to say I didn't hear from you tonight. Good.
I wrote to the quote, do you know why I leave you alone? Because I care about your feelings more than mine. I call it Tate and Violet, and I wrote it from the perspective of the character Tate, who I think I actually identified more with anybody else on the show. Don't ask me why. He wasn't the nicest person, but anyway, this is from Tate talking to Violet. I care about your feelings more than I do for myself, so if needs be, I'll stand aside and sit upon a shelf. If I don't make you happy, dear, then you must turn the page, and I'll be watching from afar with jealousy and rage. Even though I am a ghost of once my former self, your happiness means more to me than any kind of wealth. To see you with another man would disrepair my heart, because I love you more than life. You've known that from the start. So in this house of restless souls, I'll wail and scream in pain, waiting for eternity to hold you once again. If you do come back, my love, as I do hope you do, will ride the wind to heaven's gate, because our love is true. End poem.
Yeah, I thought this was a great write because I know I like Kate's character as well, and Violet. They kind of always had their own relationship where it had its moments. And I know in the first season they did part, but in later seasons they do finally come together as they are meant to be.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. I am sorry. Yes, I'm sorry. But, I thought this was a great write because it speaks of the show. Because the thing is, Kate's character, he had a lot
again. I'm only at
going
season
on.
3 with Netflix. What? I don't know.
Yes. But I'm going to finish my comment real quick so I move on to others. I know that the character itself, he had a lot of dark elements to him, but he didn't mean to be the person that he was because he loved her more than he loved life itself. He loved her more than anything, more than himself. So his goal was to see her happy, nothing else, nothing more. It was all about her. And that's what I see in you, right?
Yeah.
So, end comment. What do you think, Red?
Great comment.
That certain loves might just have no way of really dying, even if the other person doesn't feel the same way. There's that part of you that escapes towards the thought of thinking this other human being is the source of why you feel spiritually in tune with the thought of love. And so you could be scattered back into the shadows or wailing out in screams of eternity because you can't hold them again, but somehow that very memory kept alive means that the love is very much so, at least what Steve shares goes on between Tate and Violet.
Yes, it does.
Yep, and we lost Sweet Pea.
Yeah, well, she had to go sleepy.
Yeah.
What do you think, Joseph?
Oh, it's a lovely write, and it makes me recall a letter that John Keats, the great poet Keats, wrote to the love of his life. Her name was Francesca Braun, and he was alluding a little bit to the fact that they weren't going to be able to be together. And I can't recall it verbatim. You can't hear me?
We can hear you.
We can hear you.
You would call her Mimi, Francesca Brown.
I can't recall the letter verbatim, but it went something like, "In the case of the worst that can happen, I shall still love you, but what hatred shall I have for another?" And that your poem there basically made me thought of that wonderful letter that he wrote to the love of his life, that he loved her more than he loved himself. So yeah, it was a great write, Stephen. It was a pleasure reading it and listening to you read it out loud as well. Great write.
John Keats died tragically young, by 26 or 28.
Yeah.
Which is a sadder note of the romantic poet. 25.
25 with tuberculosis. Yes. Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah. He was a wonderful writer. A true hopeless romantic.
Mm.
That he was.
What?
Oh yeah, I dropped mine down, but I'm not reading. I did what Sky did. I did a sound file, so I'm gonna play that.
Okie dokie.
So are you ready for me to hit play?
Everybody ready? It's in the room. Everybody got it?
Okay, so I'm gonna hit play.
Okay, hit play.
Good.
Existence. Okay. Clarity of lucidity lulls for a spell, breezing through the silence of unknown, nostalgically, reprimanding unforgivably as love fills the voids, willingly given into death. Resignation of faith brings one down to their knees. Pain and pleasure divides the walls. Her hands of warmth, his to use, as he takes her hand to worship what is never sated. In whispered seduction, the hot breath against his ear speaks. You like to have your cock sucked, often and well. The conundrum of excitement, laced with sadness and shame. Mystiques of the night shatter. Pain loses its cruelty when avenues take one elsewhere. Do you ever get tired of cleaning up other people's messes? She thinks to herself. Yes, but we're women, that's what we do. The given mindset of man unto his possession of flesh, his vixen, and motherly cloaking. Love is the same as death. Both can be one's undoing and weakened submission of becoming a better man. We were attracted to the darkness, but you are the darkness, as am I. Guilt of a dark place is inescapable. Absolution of acceptance in the capable, broken mind is the surrender of one's heart. Submission of body and intertwined validity of the union in darkness. I think there isn't a closed door in the world that beauty can't open. The hidden beast in the closet of man cloaks beauty in a fashion disguise. One is not a beautiful sculpture. Multi-dimensional shades of love and hate collide. Hate is hate, and love is love. It can't just be rewritten when the confession of darkness is a sin you make perfected. Clarity of lucidity lulls for a spell. Pain loses its cruelty when avenues take one elsewhere. Love is the same as death. I think there isn't a closed door in the world that beauty can't open. People tell stories that cope with their fears. All arts and creations are just myths to help give us some sense of control over the things we're scared of. In the dark, we need the lightness of beauty. You see, living halfway between reality and fantasy, no one can erase the bitterness of my heart, as my immortality was lost, hanging on a thread, silently in mourning. Her face is not her own to wear, as it became masqueraded for everyone else, because they are dependent on her. When alone guards come down, she is fragile, aching to be held, heard, understood, to cry without shame. When a child dies, it is immortality that a parent loses. There are sacrifices you have to make in the name of love. It's a filthy world we live in, a filthy goddamn helpless world. Attraction in the dark, while holding fear, is acceptable when that is all that is known. Will you hold my hand in the dark, or will you be distant and cold?
Get it right.
Are we having technical difficulties?
Anybody else there on the line? Okay.
I'm still here.
You were muted.
I was muted.
You were muted.
I'm still.
I'm unmuting.
Yeah.
This is
It
really
happens.
profound. You touched upon every point why fear is the same thing as not knowing what you should understand. And in those feelings, perhaps, that's where there's the birth of love, somewhere in the dark. Any more than a person's mother's womb was equally dark before they came into the light.
Wonderful comment.
Thank
Yep.
you.
Yeah, excellent comment. Yeah, and I agree. I was saying while I was muted that this poem is just amazing. It definitely talks about us in the beginning, of course, and it talks about our life quite a bit, and of course the loss of our son. But the part that really touches me is one thing that we talk about a lot is the fact that, where's it at? Where is it at?
I don't know.
Okay, there it is. Her face is not her own to wear, as it has become masqueraded for everyone else because they are depending on her. Because so many people depend on you.
Yeah.
Especially, and I'll say it, especially on the All Poetry site. And they look forward to you talking with them, and it takes up quite a bit of your day sometimes. And like you said, when alone when you're alone, your guard comes down, and that's when you're fragile and aching to be held. And, yeah, this is just, and of course, I'll hold your hand in the dark. It's a beautiful poem, honey. What did you think, Joseph?
Well, I had left Kay. Actually, you can only write so much in these comment spaces, and you try to get your point across as best you can with such little space. But I had wrote to Kay that she covered each quote with eerie eloquence, and that it was natural. It was masterfully written. And while I was listening earlier to you folks, I think beautiful people at times also get a bad rap. That stigma follows them all. If you're that beautiful, you might not be beautiful on the inside. And I think like it's just like anything else. Sometimes we don't want to look past the beauty, or we don't and when it comes with let's just say an average looking person, whatever that may be, or however we want to create them, in our own eyes. Beauty's obviously in the eyes of the beholder. But I think the truly beautiful people on the outside, they do in fact get a bad rap because people don't even care to look what they look like inside. They judge them just on their beauty. I mean, they might not get credit for their brains or their creativity. The beautiful people take a bad rap as well, and I think it goes both ways in that respect. When you say where beauty opens many doors. But I mean, we could take it a step farther as well, and I think brains opens many doors as well if applied properly. It depends on what folks are looking for. Obviously, beauty doesn't last for beauty. Beauty doesn't last forever. It decays. It decays very quick. So, but a great write day as always, and I particularly enjoyed listening. I believe that's the first time I listened to your the SoundCloud thing, if that's what you folks call it, and it was eloquent. I loved it. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you. Yeah, I had to do like Sky did. I didn't trust myself with reading it, so I put it on SoundCloud instead for tonight. It come out great, and it was well written, and there's a whole lot to think about in there, a whole lot, and I think you hit on a lot of great points, as Raz said, and you wrote them with eloquence as always. It was great hearing it. Thank you. Before I move forward, we have 3 writes left. We've got Raz, Deborah Lee, and everyone to read. But before I do that, I want to make announcements because the people that are on the board, they will be shut out from listening, so we'll have to listen to the replay. I just want to say real quick, on my page here, sorry. For the people that did comment, Sky, who went to bed, and Sweet Pea, who went to bed, and Joseph, who was here, and Raz. And then, of course, Joseph read, Sweet Pea read, Sky read. And we read from Flora Holguin, and we read from Nibella, Yeskrin, JEG 325, Glow Lizzie, Adrani S, Solely Drowning, and Heavenly Angel. And of course, SLR 8313 was on the board earlier, as well as Heavenly Angel, Solely Drowning, and Joseph Moon in the beginning before he called in, and Jess Grant. So I just want to say thank you to everybody who did participate for tonight, and who was on the board, called in. Did you want to hurry say what tomorrow is about?
Tomorrow, Poetic Inklings is back, finally, after a couple-week hiatus due to the holidays falling on the day that Inklings usually airs.
Yeah.
So it is back, and it was, as I kind of joked around, it was on vacation, and it went to Africa.
Yeah.
So we are doing quotes from the book Out of Africa, written by
Isaac Dennison, but her name is Karen Blixen, but she went under the pen name of
Isaac Dennison.
Yeah.
And so we've got some quotes for that to write too, and we've already got actually a full contest, so everybody'd have to drop theirs in the topic board if they want to include something now.
Yeah, if anybody wants to take part of the show, look at the topic board. If you want to drop a pre-write, more the merrier.
Yep.
And then Thursday.
And then Thursday is the Movement of Sound, and we're featuring songs from Prince. We're writing what songs from Prince inspires in you.
Yes.
And let's see, and Saturday is Synergy of Love. Yes, and we're talking about kisses. First kisses, New Year's kisses, passionate kisses, any kind of kisses, but not the band. Not the band Kiss. That'll be featured later on Movement of Sound. And I will say that next week's Mortuary, we are going to be looking at the best vampire movie ever made, in my opinion.
Yeah.
The Lost Boys.
From 86?
From 1986, I believe, yes. Starring Kiefer Sutherland and Jason Patrick.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll have to check it out.
Before he was Bauer, he was really a vampire. None of that makes coherent sense with the portfolios.
All right. And without further ado, Raz, your poem is on the board. Are you ready to read?
Yeah, I would love to read my poem. It's called Some Houses. It goes like this. Some houses. Some houses have their secrets, and that never shows on the Tupperware furnishings or the exterior house paint dried of the yesterday tears in suiting free disclosure purposes, closer peeking into the lightless shades, protecting the interior decorum, amidst not on the darkness which finds physical retention to bid its non-voluntary will of temporary residence, which rests never to the supernatural forces, preserving the memories of the American pages, the obituary or the missing person section of social forms hunger and malnourished. Some houses closed down the previous years, per se 76, 87, 68, 84, 92, and what had befallen to decrease the light of the fresh solar plexus in traversing to mortal diffusion and conclusive rectitude are send the shadows of the dining hall and the study room, an upper story spiraling cold matter influenza, the darkness collected of the particle semblance, and the dustbins accumulating the hardship. The condemned empty spaces have gotten over a few instant moments photograph of the white flashes, the immovable light sketch of the matter density for the opposite reaction to remain with the obliterated knowledge. Some houses are never meant of the centerpieces under the shingling to see the light of the sun, or the personal history of whom habituated the quarters to be remotely learned or heard, and in this banishing tone of voice the daemon of the hour breaks the suitable contraction bond of the inconceivable Lord. The generation prophecies, but in vain clairvoyance the other side messengers believed of the mortgage lender buyer potential a few decades later to the lot's resettlement. It seems the darkness is very patient for all the fizzling illumination of daymares to go completely dark. Some houses are out of easy bargain living traces. Some houses are out of hospice. End poem.
Yes. I thought that this was very, very powerful. I like how you conveyed the information. I thought that this was an excellent write with awesome dark imagery. I was a question, though. Even though Kay and I binge watched this first season just last week. Was that last week?
Yes.
Yeah.
New Year's Day.
I'm just wondering, the years that you included there, were those the years that things happened in that house on the show, or is that something else?
Those are some random guesses on years in which something might have occurred at different houses.
Okay.
76, 87,
okay, but
80,
I thought that
84, 92, 68.
Yeah. Yeah, because I know that in the first season they go back and forth, kind of saying, okay, back to 19 whatever when this murder happened, and they go back to where they're at, at the time, and then they go back 19 whatever this murder happened. So I just thought that was kind of cool that you included that in there with those years, because it kind of tells you histories that each house has, and every house has its history. Some good, some
bad.
But
the houses keep the histories away from people who move in.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, you really brought it on this, and that's like I believe I gave you first HM, so you were like right on the cusp. I said earlier before you were here that this one was a really, really tough one to judge, and I had to read through them all a couple of times before I actually made a final decision. It was very difficult. Everybody did very well, and like I said, you really brought it on this one, Raz. I appreciate it, and thank you for for coming to read. I'm glad you made it.
Yeah.
I can buy the whole mystique that these houses are hiding things about their past all the time in one American neighborhood to the next.
Yep. Yeah. Joseph, what did you think of Raz's Right?
Oh, very thought-provoking for sure. Much going on here between the lines, but well written by my friend Raz. And like I totally agree with the whole concept that there's so much going on behind the bricks. You might see the loving couple out on the lawn holding hands and the kids playing, with the baseball. But who knows what evil lurks inside, And there's all kinds of horror stories, obviously. And I also took a spin on this a little bit, and I would have taken my spin a little farther if Raz had have included 2008 in there with his dates here, simply because that was when the housing market supposedly crashed, and many folks lost their homes, and God only knows how many lives were touched by that, and where those folks are today, what type of homes they're living in, or if they're even living in homes. So this is a very strong piece, and this is the kind of right where you just can't read this once to really appreciate it. So this will be something I'll ponder over tonight with my other reading activities, or tomorrow afternoon when I have some free time, and leave an additional comment on this wonderful thought-provoking right, Raz. Good job here, pal.
If I have Joseph thinking that I'm complimented enough to suffice, sir.
Thanks. My totally my pleasure.
Well, I will say, Joseph, you're speaking to somebody who did lose their home.
Yes.
When the house in Bubble exploded, we lost our home. We worked hard to save it, but we were fighting a losing battle. And what we did was we sold damn near all of our possessions, and we started over.
Mm-hmm.
And we're doing okay.
Yes. Yeah, well, that would be a story. That would be a story behind the bricks, and obviously that's a bad story. Now, and you said I'm speaking to someone who, I've counseled folks who've lost their home and going through that period of time. I did a lot of pro bono work for folks that were, and I think I may have mentioned this to you in our conversations before, maybe in our postings, where, I was, people don't know what to do, and they say the sheriffs are knocking on your door. I mean, but there's ways to keep them. There's ways to keep the bear off the door to give yourself some breathing room. So if I was able to follow a motion to get somebody to live in their house for an extra year and a half or 2 years, in which they can maybe save a little money to go and get it up, whatever, I thought I did some good things in that respect. But no, there were so many horror stories about how the banks. People say the bank screwed people, but no one forced the banks to sign your name on the dotted line. Most people don't know what they're signing. They're just happy to get the big house and say, oh, we have the house and this and that. And they don't understand the ramifications of having a long mortgage. But that's another story. And I don't want to take away from Raz's poem at all and get sidetracked with the foreclosure situation. But, it's just a horrible thing. And there's some gruesome, a lot of horrible.
That's all enough in there. I mean, about the house, in the end, it's really the only one that wins. If you don't pay off the mortgage, even if you have the deed, one day you're just not going to live in the house anymore, and it's going to go on standing, waiting for the next person to come in and just shelter up to a point. And that's what I find kind of paranormal of the whole thought of houses, why I wrote the piece and the descriptions.
Yeah, I know this, Raz, and I was going to mention a comment, like in this piece that you wrote. I know that you only mentioned the term home one time, and people don't understand. There's a big difference between a house and a home. A house is supposedly more loving. It's a home. It's like it's whether you where a house. A lot of people have a house, but there's no love in the house. Hence, it's not a home. And then there's it's in other situations as well. So that goes both ways. But here's another interesting concept. Then people talk about, I want to get this house and I'll pay it off in 15 years, and I'll own my house. Well, I hate to discourage folks. I think it's a great thing to buy a home. It's always good to own. But guess what? You never ever own your home in today's society. Because guess what? Don't pay the taxes on that home. And guess what? If you owe $4,000 in taxes and your house is worth 180. They'll still come and take. So you don't own it. You don't own your home. And I try to tell people that you don't own your home. If the government has to tells you got to pay a tax on it, guess what? It's not your home. They're just letting you live there. That's basically what it is. That's basically how I feel about that. Now, and people say, oh, that's bad advice. It's not bad advice. Like, I give people true advice. I mean, I encourage people to buy their home, but don't go out and say, well, I own my home. You don't own your home. The government owns your home. I mean,
yeah.
Yeah, the government owns your home. Try not paying the taxes for 2 years. 2 years, and they'll be coming for you. They'll be coming for you.
Mm.
They'll send violent men with guns to get you out of your house just because of a debt. And we're not supposed to have a debtor's prison. But if you take someone out of their home and put them on the street, you might not be putting them behind bars, but you're surely putting them in a prison. That's for damn sure.
A compromising situation outside a shelter, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, it's just that's the society we live in, and you deal with it. And you just try to do the best you can, obviously, and and that was some horrible times in 2008. So many folks, and I thank God it was not.
That crash affected millions of lives, Patrick, is what I heard.
Oh, sure, it's countless amount of lives.
Except for Freddie Mac.
Countless amount of lives.
Yeah.
Countless.
Yeah.
Bad times. Bad times. But okay. Do we have something a little more pleasant to opine about before?
But the theme of American Horror Stories. Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah.
We have 2 more rights, and Kay still needs to comment on Raz's poem.
Well, yeah, I agree with everything Anthony says, because we knew a lot of people in the same situation. And, like I said, we were in the same situation, but we were able to land on our feet. Granted, we had to start over in every sense of the word, and I had to learn what the word simplicity meant. And now that I know what it means, I like it, because I'm not held back by all the things that I used to be held back from that used to hold me down. Because there's actually happiness in traveling light in life. And by that, meaning no material objects holding you back. Every house has its own story. The walls, they hold the stories of happiness and pain and sorrow. And, wouldn't it be cool if you can just somehow see a movie of everything that happened behind those walls, because you might be shocked, you might be saddened, but you also might smile too. Every house has its story, no matter what.
Some houses you might not want to see the movie.
True. Like if it was,
Eddie Gein's house.
Yeah.
Houses are haunted in general because people leave magnetic resonance of the fact they were there, and that just picks up and absorbs into the actual fabric work of the house. I mean, this is all parapsychology. I put that under that topic specifically, the piece, because I believe it's very much possible.
Oh wow, that's interesting.
Agree.
Yeah. So after when folks leave their home and then the new folks call the exterminator in, they don't exterminate the old spirits, I guess, huh? That's interesting. Trying a little humor there, but yeah, I understand where you're coming from, Raz. I think we leave a piece of us wherever we are, or wherever we've been as well. Yeah, that's 100%. I believe that 100%. That's why I say the poem. I hope my
magnetic field is terrorizing people that live in our old house. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I mean, you hear horror stories about people they move into a home. I've heard stories about folks moving into a home and they'll dig up the floorboards and they'll find they might find 10 or 20,000 in cash, old money buried in money. But then they also may find a body buried in homes. So there's a million stories. You folks are probably a little too young to remember. There used to be a show, and I think it was actually narrated by Walter Winchell. And he would, before the show, at the end of the show, he would say, "There's a million stories in the naked city." I don't know if you guys remember that at all, but and that was stories about like New York, and they would tell a story each week about different sections of the city and people. And it was, it made me think of that story by reading Raz's poem. But the mysteries.
Yeah. All right. Okay, we dropped Deborah Lee's poem in. Kay's going to read for her. She was supposed to call in, but she had some sort of family emergency, so she didn't even have her show over at Team of Voices earlier.
But we do have a blanket email.
So I said we have a blanket email saying that it's okay to read her
family
stuff.
caused the war in Iran, so Debbie's not in tonight.
Oh boy, sad.
Okay, this is a fast brevity, as I like to call it, by Deborah Lee. And she wrote to the quote, "Do you know why I leave you alone? Because I care about your feelings more than mine." And this is called Grin as You Step Over My Carcass. Kick to that curb people speak of, and every smack of my face stings. Just call me the disposable friend, as an icy coating blanket heartstrings, wrapping me inside chilled shadows, with a non-returnable frown it brings. Tossed outside on a throwaway pile, shaken as the ebony shroud clings. But I sit and weep, but you can smile, as you stare through puppet strings. End poem.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I agree. I read this one just a few hours ago. Well, actually, it says 6 hours ago. But oh boy, do I know that curb that she's talking about being kicked to, because I've sat on that curb many times, or that trash heap where you get thrown into. And sooner or later, somebody else will always throw you there. There's always somebody out there that's willing to just use you and throw you aside. And that's what this poem makes me think of, is just being used and thrown to the side like you were just nothing but a piece of trash. And, yeah, it's very powerful. She says she can't write brevity, but, Deb, you wrote one hell of a brevity here. Very well done. Very, very well done. What did you think, Raz?
Rather than emotional neglect, which would be the most rational explanation for how someone's stepping over your carcass, I see something slightly more darker. Perhaps the very thought of death haunting a person until they feel that all their life was being used, reaching that very point. An entirely different realization with the imagery. But what you're explaining, that with the thought of the puppet strings, obviously that's someone who's been used in the past and they did not deserve that kind of treatment. And so there is a kind of rising from that feeling when you admit to yourself that whoever it was that used you, they're in no way obligated to take more responsibility for your life than for whom you are. That would be my comment on this piece.
That's a very good comment, too.
Yes.
Yeah, very well said. What did you think, Joseph?
First of all, Stephen, let me ask you. In reading Deborah Lee's AN here, it's she wrote to the quote, "Do you know I leave you alone?" Is that the same quote you had wrote for?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I kind of thought it was, and then yeah. Okay. So getting back to the quote and this wonderful right. Yeah, it seems to me like Deborah basically is saying in this that she's actually trying to hide her sorrow or her pain from either her significant other or family members, and whatever it may be. Maybe someone, she was kicked to the curb, she was hurt, abused, possibly. I don't know. Maybe she lost her home as well, and then there could be a million things going on here. But she's actually trying to hide that pain from, like I said, from her significant others. It says like, but because she sits and weeps, and so you can smile, Now does she weep alone? I mean, there's a whole lot going in this wonderful brevity, and this is, like I said, this is another wonderful right that you just can't read this one time. Like we're reading it, we're hearing it. It only takes a minute to read it, but a real good poem like this, it needs a hell of a lot more attention to really understand the concept of it. And I think when you put the time in to actually try to understand what the poet's trying to say, we can all learn from this. It's kind of right, and like Raz is right as well, that we could all learn from. And even if you don't learn, if it just makes you think a little bit, then it's a great poem. Yeah.
Yeah, but can we psychoanalyze this thing, or are those shadows real? Why they're chilling and wrapping around the person inside the metaphor? Isn't that closer to to the fact that you might be on the verge of death, if the metaphor is seen right, despite the fact of meeting people in the past and they were of no help, reaching a certain avenue where the darkness is all the more closer because your mind is beginning to shut down.
It could be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole
Definitely.
lot going on, and getting back to the shadow metaphors, you could almost bring it down to, you can bring it down to another another line where she says, tossed outside on a throwaway pile, shaking as the ebony shrouds cling. The ebony shrouds, being the black clouds, or basically the shadows. That's where I picked up on that while I was reading it as well. But like I said, this just needs to be be read a couple times, and then if you want to really sit down with it and kick it around, I think it's a very interesting poem to ponder and learn from, which makes it a great poem.
So the black cloud is really over people's heads sometimes because it literally does explain some kind of emotional status. Even you are being completely logical. I might be exaggerating. But I totally see the whole thought of this person more or less being at the end of the wicker, the candle, and before that flame goes out, all they're realizing is that their entire life was, in fact, some kind of sham that others got their way, something far more tragic. If that's not sad enough, then only Debbie really knows the answer, but she won't ever reveal that because then she would more or less give away the whole game of why there's the poem. And there would be no purpose for people to read it over and over again and not be quite positive.
Yeah, I concur with that, Raz. Also, the closing line is interesting. If we look at it real quick, as you stare through the puppet strings, like it makes you feel like she's actually speaking to the person who maybe threw her to the curb, maybe abused her some way, either way, physically, mentally, whatever, or just broke her heart. Mm-hmm. And he's staring through the puppet strings, and that he used to dangle her about on. So this is really a thought-provoking poem.
Yes, indeed. Agreed. What did you think, hon?
Well, I have to agree with what everybody says because there's a lot of different ways to look at it. The picture itself, the picture speaks volumes. This person is out on the curb, they're cold, they're alone, and they look helpless. But, the words itself, it definitely speaks to a way that a lot of us understand. Stop being used, being tossed to the curb. And that's the thing, as I told her in the comments, that I've made silence look good because too many times in the past, people have pushed me to the curb and acted like I was nothing. So after a while, you get kind of used to that. And sometimes I always feel that silence is better because words won't mean much. So sometimes you do have to wear that smile, even though that person hurt you, because what other option is there?
Yeah, and it always hurts even more when the person that does that to you is somebody that you're supposed to trust and love, like a sister or
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Excellent, right, Deb. All right, we've got one more.
Yeah. Who did you want to read?
I guess I could read it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, then we close out the show.
Yep. Back to the room.
To the room.
To the room. I'm a little short of breath, but I don't think this one's too long.
No, it's not.
And this is from Everyone One, and it's called The Price and the Pride and the Pressure.
Wow.
And it goes like this. Pop the cherry, let this bleed beneath the pressure, pleasure. What are we but another self-serving delusion if the will of our Heavenly Father is not followed? Stick the knife in and let this bleed us out in all of our impunity and tomfoolery. Cold and shivering, the jailer has no greater answer. Wild-eyed and groveling for our past days of innocence, the cut, the vessel, the dream of the damned, in all their silence, all built up and emptied out, roll the dice on any day supported and surrendered to us by our Heavenly Father. We're all creatures of generously self-serving habit, or are we the continuing death of this all-consuming us, committing us to the service towards our Creator and towards all creation and towards our fellow man, all hollowed out, wallowing about and searching within, and all asunder for more under the very weight of our pride. Yes, make the decision. Make this stand for something. Make this effort far greater than this selfish effort above, or pass on with all that is left of our bitterness, all aimed towards one another and towards our Creator altogether. End poem. I thought this was well done. I thought his words had a definitely ring of truth to it. In the end, I think we all are responsible for making the decision as to what kind of person we want to be, and whether we want to be good or whether or not we want to be evil.
Yeah.
It's kind of a decision we all make within ourselves. Sometimes that decision isn't made consciously. Sometimes there is mental illness there that kind of makes the decision for you, obviously.
Yeah.
But I think this is a very well written piece. What do you think, Raz?
That it's an interesting dilemma of how you feel about God or the very will of the Heavenly Father, the way it's expressed here. But in the end, you can only have a kind of reverence or respect for the fact that there's a Father, and you can't go any more deeper than that. Unlike your dad, the Heavenly Father is known to be extremely silent, and one can only ponder what it took to create the universe. Perhaps is not a question you ask of yourself, but only come to learn happens to be separate and sort of non-judgmental, watching over all these mistakes we make as man.
Yes, excellent comment. Joseph, what did you think?
Well, clearly the poet's trying to convey a spirit, some type of spiritual message here. I wouldn't say it's a religious message. I think it's more spiritual than religious. And like I said, I'm not a big fan of religion. Basically, and I'm not a biblical man either. But I do believe in one quote from the Bible, and that's the golden rule: and we do unto others as we would have them do unto us. That's basically the only quote in the Bible that's not ambiguous. It's clear cut. A sixth grader could read it and understand it. Where there's a whole lot of parts in the Bible. I mean, you can take. They'll be studying it until the end of time. But if you just take that particular quote and just treat your fellow man, what that's telling you to do, I think obviously the world would be a better place, and folks wouldn't need to write these kind of poems, and and that's basically where we would be. And I think what he did right here is very well written, and I think he's trying to get a message out. And I think folks kind of live. We're more concerned with our own pleasures than our pleasures and helping out our fellow man. And I think what he's saying here is, the Creator doesn't look kindly upon that. So you have to be the judge on how you want to live your life. And that's what I see here coming together. And I think it's a good write, obviously. But like I said, I'm not a religious person or a biblical person. And I think this has some overtones on that. But a well-written piece.
Excellent comment. What about you, hon?
Well, I do like this, but I am going to read the comment that I read because I believe in my own things that I adhere to, because it is very true if one reflects within. And I said that man is flawed and that no one in life is blameless, even a person who is good. If they feel they do good all the time, even those people are flawed too. Everybody has had moments of place in judgment. Everybody has had moments of something others, creating sin. So with the right self, as I told him, one has to stand for something or they fall for anything. And I feel that having a voice is a challenge, much like so much in life, because of fear. But I definitely adhere to what I always say. that nobody in life is perfect. It's just a word. We all are flawed. And if we can understand that, then hopefully that makes you a wiser person instead of placing judgment on others.
Indeed.
End comment.
End comment, end show.
That's pretty awesome. Love it.
Yeah. All right. I want to thank you guys, Joseph and Raz, for hanging out with us for the little bit of sudden death overtime we went into, as we did go over.
Yeah, by 25 minutes. That's okay.
And,
it's recording.
If it wasn't for the nightmares, I wouldn't have seen the mortuary. So I just came in to say a few words.
Cool.
I'm glad you were able to show up, man.
Yeah.
Hope you get more sleep.
Yeah, that's you.
Yeah, I'll be going to sleep in about 6 hours.
Yes. Well, need I say it was a wonderful show. I'm glad I was able to hang out with you folks for an hour and a half or so, or whatever it may have been. It was great poetry this evening. I think from top to bottom, we learned a lot. We heard some great poetry, and there's a lot we can think about. And it was a wonderful night. Enjoyed it.
All this was great, but I mean, we just went to war with Iran. They took down a liner, an actual Ukraine liner, just an hour ago, after assaulting the United States Air Force base with actual ballistic missiles. So I mean, this is all the course of 6 hours. Speaking of actual nightmares that have absolutely nothing to do with not being able to sleep all that night.
Yeah.
I mean.
Well,
yeah, I mean we've been at war with those folks for a long time. It just hasn't officially been declared, but and you don't want to get into politics, but I'm not sure if the so-called, I don't want to call the guy a clown in chief, but I mean I think
the supreme leader, Khamenei.
I think he jumped a little too soon on the gun on this. I mean, naturally he took down an evil person, but there's a whole lot of evil people in the world, and I mean, we can go take out the guy from North Korea and maybe take out Putin, and I can name some more. But I mean, there's some people they're evil, but you keep an eye on them. You have to you can't kill one person because that can kill millions. That could kill thousands. I mean, these
they're
people,
the ones
they
with
revere,
more pride
they revere these guys.
than what everyone describes in his poem about creations and heavenly fathers. Leaders willing to abuse their power to the point that it leads one too many deaths. Yes, outstanding.
Yeah.
Yes, good catch, Raz. Yeah, that's a very interesting point. I mean, we just can't we just can't be pushing buttons on people without thinking of the ramifications. I mean, obviously, I don't want to get into the politics end of it, but I mean, I know he's got an election coming up, and he wants to divert a little bit from this impeachment thing and all. But like, man, we're going to suffer. There's going to be a lot of deaths from this. I mean, we took out one evil guy, but thousands of decent folks are going to die from it as well. And they're on their side. And sadly, our side and other sides. I mean, I don't even like to say sides. We're all human beings. We all at the end of the night, we all bleed red, and we all just want our families to be safe. And this guy put a lot of folks' families in jeopardy. And that's just my personal opinion on that. And I don't like to get into politics or religion.
How dare we end the president?
I don't want to end the beautiful. I don't want to end the beautiful night on a sad note.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. So we're gonna close out with our music and say good night.
Oh, you want me to play music?
Good night, folks.
Yeah.
Good night, everyone. Good night, Raz.
Thank you.
Raz. Thank you. Now, bye.
Bye, Joseph. Good night. Thank you.
How do I hit?
There should be a mortuary closer.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Here I go. There I go.
that all, folks?
Is that all there is? Like the song, remember when they used to play that on Big Chuck and Little John? That
Yeah.
song? Is that all there is?
Yeah, I like the way they started it, though, each show. Here we go again.
Yeah, gosh, I remember that. It was on when James was a toddler. I remember watching it. I don't think it's on anymore.
Big Chuck and Little John. For a little while, they were on every Sunday night after the news, but I don't know if they still are or not.
Yeah, it was kind of fun to watch.
But it was just a little half-hour show where they didn't watch a movie like they used to on Saturday afternoons. They did. They just showed old skits that they used to do between.
Oh, those are funny because those were done through the decades.
Yeah.
But at the age they are, they probably retired.
They're up there.
They're up there. We're all getting up there.
Yeah.
So before I hang up, I will say thank you to everybody again who did participate tonight, who was on the board, dropped a right to be read.
Mm-hmm.
We appreciate all the participation that you guys bring and hope that you continue to listen in further. And, of course, join us tomorrow when we discuss Out of Africa by Isaac Denison.
Yes, indeed.
So without further ado, have a good night. And thank you for listening and participating, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Yes, indeed. Now I'm going to go beg my wife to let me go get a pack of cigarettes.
No,
good night, everybody.
No, you won't. Good night.